Hello, hello, it is I, Webweaver Actual Filler, and welcome. I'm gonna move my microphone a little bit closer, but I think it should be fine. Yeah, it sounds completely fine. We're not used to not wearing my headphones. I actually have both of my earbuds in. Yeah, welcome. I had some extra time today, and I only want to stream during the day because I don't like streaming during the night. So I had some extra time, and yeah, here we are. I've probably got about an hour and 30 minutes, so we're gonna try to... This is a test for me personally to see how concise I can be for stuff like this. So I think the music is about good as far as, actually, you know what? No, get that -1 out of here. Okay, so I should be able to take the Emmerdale down now? Okay, good, alright. So, we're living in a post-Aiko, also Hyanno needs to get over here, because technically she's like... I think people will probably debate me putting Hyanno on the list to begin with, but I think that she's in the game, she was made by the developer. You don't unlock her in a conventional sense, but I think that she's worthy of at least being considered for the tier list. So before we get into it, let me read chat real quick. Can't stay long, but just wanted to say this is by far the best World of Horror channel on YouTube. Love the dedication. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, Alan. I appreciate it. So, now that I've made sure that my audio's alright, but we're gonna switch over to listening to anime music, at least on my end. Alright. So, we have every character in the game, plus Hyanno, because that's important to me. We have all of the perks in the game, although because of the window you can't see them all, so you're just gonna have to trust me. We've got the custom character perks down here. And I should be able to... Where is the... Okay, the chat box needs to be above. The alert box needs to be above. I do apologize for this, but I do need to get this sorted real quick. And then here's the text. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna lower this just so it's kind of where the perks are. Hopefully that's still readable. Like, my view here is like a very tiny screen, so if it's readable, let me know. But there is there's a couple of addendums to make, because first of all, some of the perks don't work, right? So I'm gonna have to bring up on my end, because I get the names confused about the perks that do and don't work. So once I have the list up on custom character... Okay, here we go. So right off the bat, we just need to get these out of the way, because they literally don't work, so there's no point in even, like, wasting time with ranking them. Where is Tarot Reader? Okay, that's Premonition. I should actually zoom in. I should have zoomed in a lot more on my end. I wonder if I can do that now. Is that going to affect the stream too much? Okay, yes it will. We're going to zoom back out there. Okay, Premonition, found it. Cannot currently rank Premonition. Its written effect is pass... event options display which stat will be tested against selected stats. So basically this crashes the game if you get to a stat check, so I've never been able to use it. It's probably crap tier, but you know, it doesn't work, so I'm not gonna rank it. And then also, the stars are right automatically pass all luck skill checks. It doesn't work. Stars are right literally does nothing. So it is what it is. We can't rank that properly. Actually, you know what? I am going to zoom in now. I am going to zoom in. Hold on. There we go. Well, actually, no, I can't look at it on my end. if I do it like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom in so I can read it more easily. And then we're gonna go to window capture. And we're just gonna make it a little bit smaller. So I want at least everything to be... I want everything to fit here, and we'll scroll to the top. What's under there? Emmerdale? Emmerdale. Another Emmerdale. We have so many layers of Emmerdales. Okay, so now I can see it easier now. That's the important part here. And I'll get back to the chat on my phone so I can read the comments. Is this for the new perks? Yes, we have all the custom perks here. Although, actually, now that I'm realizing it, I don't have Ayaka's perks, which is a little bit of an oversight, isn't it? But, oh yeah, no, I'm completely lacking Ayaka's perks. One moment. I was like, I gotta take pictures of all the custom character perks, and then I forgot. But there's an easy way to do this. Get that Emmerdale back up. We're just gonna steal the perks from the wiki. I'm not gonna take the screenshot myself. Now, a thing to think about is, am I gonna rank the pages of the Necronomicon as perks? I don't know. I actually do not know. Ayaka only has 3 perks. That's crazy. I can never spell Toshiyaki's name properly. The wiki considers them perks, so we'll rank them as well. He has a lot of perks. Oh, there's no photo of Crudy's kill. There's no photo of Pathal's flash. What the heck? Okay, so the wiki, alright, we're in a predicament here. The wiki does not have photos of anything but the passive that Toshiyaki starts with. So, we are going to make dummy perks then. This is the... Welcome to the Photoshop stream, because that's what we're gonna do here. I cannot believe I forgot. I forgore Ayaka and Toshiyaki. Okay, so let's see here. We're gonna turn... We're gonna get a window capture. No. We're gonna take this window capture that we already have and Photoshop. Now, why is it showing a completely different window? What the heck? Well, okay, don't show that. And that's just Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy. This has all gone horribly wrong. Wait, how do I even get back to... Okay, here we go. I've made it back. That we've gone around a little bit. But I've made it back to the perk tier list. It was an event. It was difficult to make happen, but here we are. Wait, that's the window capture I just turned off. Let's turn the Emmerdale off. We'll deal with this. The fact that I don't have any photos, we'll deal with that later. Let's do the characters. we'll do the characters first, and then we'll worry about the fact that I don't have Ayaka's perks when we get to Ayaka in like an hour and 30 minutes, alright? Okay, so starting off with Aiko. Now, I think that just Ayaka and Toshiyaki's existence has made me basically rethink the entirety of everything, almost. Because if you asked me, like, maybe... I don't know. If you asked me probably, like... a few... Like, if you asked me before these two characters came out, I would basically have told you that, like, Aiko is one of the best characters in the game, you know, Moriko is one of the best characters in the game, blah, blah, blah. But, with these two existing, they've just raised the bar to a whole new level. And I'll catch up on chat in a minute, but now that we've just decided to ignore an obvious problem with this tier list process, I think that we'll put them in okay and balanced. We'll put Aiko in okay and balanced for now. Aiko is the learn the game, right? Like, Aiko is, you have never played the game before, and you want to learn the game, alright? There's a reason why the, like, new player mode, where it's like, you try a run, you always play as Aiko, because it's just, she's just way stronger, right? Like, she has a default 10% attack speed buff, her perks are ridiculous, and she's just overall extremely consistent, and she's got high strength and high dexterity and high perception as well. So you don't really have to worry about, skill checks for the most part, unless it's a knowledge skill check, but a lot of knowledge skill checks, they have alternative options. So her bad knowledge and her, like, mediocre charisma, I think it's like 6 or whatever, like, she's an absolutely fantastic character to learn the game with. You don't have to worry about basically anything when you're playing as Aiko. She doesn't have any significant problems, and any issue that you might be having with the game, like, let's say combat's a little too hard, 10% attack speed hits different. We'll get the text away from here while we're talking about characters. But 10% attack speed hits different. She's got ridiculous strength and ridiculous dexterity, even on Harbinger of Doom. She's still got high strength and she's still got high dex, which means that you can use a brick, a steak knife, a baseball bat, maybe, but most preferably like a monkey wrench, or she can't get the semi-auto, but she can definitely... I mean, I'm trying to think, let's be honest, most strength weapons are completely terrible. But, you know, the two, like the chainsaw, she's obviously ridiculously busted with the chainsaw. The Voldemort weapon that shall not be named, just because it doesn't exist. You can't prove to me that it exists, even though I've definitely seen it twice, which I haven't. And so, it's basically like, as far as Aiko is concerned, like, you can make any dexterity weapon work on Aiko, and you can make a lot of strength weapons work on Aiko very easily. Not to mention the fact that you can have running shoes, which is basically like a free small candle, except it's permanent, you don't have to use a small candle, which small candle's good. It's a knowledge steak knife. A steak knife's a perfectly valid weapon, and I think that just from an overall perspective, like, running shoes is an underrated perk. 3% Doom to Runaway is fantastic. Fast Swimmer plus 15% attack speed stacks with her already amazing 10% attack speed. So she has a total of 25%, which is better than Moriko's... I don't want to put her on the tier list yet. It's better than Moriko's 20% firearm. Right, so... And Moriko's limited to firearms for her 20% attack speed. Aiko just has 25% attack speed, which is absolutely insane. And it works on every weapon. So I think that Aiko is a completely easy high tier. I mean, I didn't even talk about the fact that she has Hot Bath, which has like 3 blue options, all of which are fantastic. For the reference, blue option being a reference towards FTL, where if you have a certain piece of equipment, you can choose the blue option, which is a guaranteed positive outcome. In this, Hot Bath has multiple blue options, which are all guaranteed positive outcomes. which give her lots of healing. Not to mention Hot Bath is a powerful perk already, giving you +1/+1 to your rest at home, which can counteract Broken Nose and, or I should say, or not and. She can't do both at the same time. Fetid Fumes. And so I like that a lot. I think that Aiko's probably one of the most consistent characters in the game. And just for the fact alone that she's just so consistent, that puts her at like the top of high tier easily. All right, time to check up. Time to catch up on chat, I should say. Oh, hello, Copmon. It's been a while. Thank you for stopping by. And I didn't know you were interested in World of Horror. But yes, the game's been updated quite frequently since launch. Like, on launch, I'm pretty sure it's like Aiko, Haru, Kyrie. We should have done Kyrie first. She's like the first character. It's been way too long? True. It has been way too long. You should hit me up on Steam and or Discord. Because I do need to do this tier list right now, but I would love to talk to you again. Let's see. Layers of Emmerdale irony, monolithic layers of Ayaka irony. Do you think this game will ever be in a somewhat stable state where there aren't broken mechanics everywhere? No, like, I don't know. Because, I mean, here's the thing, it's like every time we get an update, new stuff breaks. Like, the new stuff's broken, the old stuff's broken, and, you know, it is what it is. I hope that 1.0 is just like a big, like, there's plenty of content in the game, right? I hope 1.0 is just the big, you know, fix all the bugs update. That would be fantastic. I'll hit you up after stream. Sounds good, sounds good. Have you played Disco Elysium? No, I have not. People have recommended it. Greetings all. Hello, Keith. It might reach stability, but that seems like it's years away. I mean, with how long it took to get the last update, a years away doesn't sound like too much trolling, does it? Alright, we'll switch to ranking Aiko's perks right now. And I won't turn the custom perks thing on just yet, because we're not ranking custom perks, so I don't think the list needs to be on the screen. Okay, so Discipline. I really like Discipline. It's a great skill. Every time you pass a skill check, you get +1 stamina. The thing about this that I really like, and I should actually do, in hindsight, what I should do is I should do character's perks, then chat break, then move on. That's what I'm going to do in the future. But, so, Discipline, +1 stamina per pass skill check. This is really good on Aiko. She either has average stats or above average stats in almost everything. Very powerful perk on her, but it's just a powerful perk in general. I think the thing that, I mean, obviously the art makes it triple S Ghost Rare, but I think the thing that prevents it from being a triple S Ghost Rare from a gameplay perspective is that it only works on a successful skill check, which those become harder as the game goes on. Because, yeah, sure, maybe you got 8 strength now, but you go into a doomed location, that's -2 to your roll, so that's really just average, right? And it hurts more to fail as well. So unless you're stacking skills, and then you're just like, I've got 12 knowledge, discipline is good, right? You don't really get into that state where you can consistently use discipline, but it does make it to where every success is just really, really good. Now, Fast Swimmer. Fast Swimmer, I mean, let's not pretend that attack speed isn't goated in this game. It is. I think I typically value healing, attack speed, damage, right? I would say those are the three most important things to me in that order, right? Healing's most important, attack speed second most important, damage is third most important. 15% flat across the board is absolutely cracked. There's not really much to say. It's completely worth the price for leveling up, and it makes certain weapons that might not, it makes things like the heavy bonk and the monkey wrench just so devastatingly powerful, comparatively to, like, it turns the steak knife and the small candle into a machine gun. So, yeah, that's very important. Hot bath, I'm gonna put hot bath in awesome, because, like, yes, it gives you a bunch of blue options, and so that gives it utility outside of the perk itself, because this perk provides a lot of healing opportunities, both resting and not resting. However, the problem that I have with the perk is that it's 100 EXP to make spending 3% or 5% Doom better, right? Depending on if you have Goizo or not. So, I think I'm gonna leave it in awesome tier. I think discipline is better, just by fact that it doesn't work. Like, hot bath only works in 2 scenarios. A blue option, which there's 3 of them, so that's pretty good odds through an entire playthrough, I'd say. Especially because those events are pretty common. However, like, its main effect, nah. Like, its main effect is fantastic, but not Ghost Rare fantastic. Running Shoes. I think Running Shoes is probably the worst perk that Aiko has, and that's like, if every other character, if their perks were worse than Aiko's perks, they would be, like, immediately viable in almost, like, every way possible. So, yeah, no, I think that Running Shoes making Doom 3% instead of 5%, because it's 5% to run away, 3% with Running Shoes or exclusively, because they don't stack, Small Candle. Running Shoes is basically the effect of Small Candle, but a perk. I think that's very nice. The only reason why it's not an awesome is that it doesn't work on one of the old gods. That's about it. But it does have some cool tech with, like, forced runaways, like with Fear Festival. And I would assume, but I haven't tested it, I would assume Ward as well. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the next character, and then after I'm done with the next character, we'll take a little break to catch up with chat. Well, I mean, I'll look at chat real quick to see if I missed anything. It does not appear like well, I'm on top chat. Let me turn to live chat. It's great. Some skill attributes tell you to... Yeah, true. Alright, so we should have done Kyrie first, because, like, chronological order and all that. Kyrie's a really interesting character. She's got pretty across the board average stats and or above average stats, depending on Harbinger of Doom or not. Top chat is so weird. True. Yeah, no, top chat's bizarre. Live chat is where it's at. Like, censoring Phosphorus Blade and yeeting them into the live chat for saying drugs on their post. Even though I don't have that as, like, a no word on the filter. It's very strange. It starts leaving out comments for me and not only spam comments. Live chat supremacy, let's go. Yeah, live chat is where it's at. Would highly recommend turning on live chat instead of top chat. But, okay, so Kyrie. Howdy, Tibby. How's it going? So, for Kyrie specifically, she's a very... Like, Kyrie is very weird, because she's sort of the average character, right? Like, she's the baseline. And I think we're gonna put her imbalanced for that reason. Her unique effect isn't... Compared to what we have in the modern day, as far as, like, unique character gimmicks go, it's extremely underwhelming, right? Like, it's almost like a time capsule of older game design for World of Horror, right? Because in the modern day, and there is a reason why they both have the Teen Witch outfit on, it's mainly because I was told that Teen Witch 2 was the best outfit when I asked a couple of people in the Discord. But, like, Ayaka is just more thematically appropriate and cooler Kyrie, right? Like, Kyrie is not a spellcaster. She relies entirely upon, like, if you want to be a spellcaster with Kyrie, you have to get a perk and then get an item. And that item can be gotten for free at the start of every run, but the problem with that is that it's very, like, if you don't get it, you can't be spellcaster Kyrie. And that's a bummer. It really is. It's a bummer. And so one of the things, like, the biggest problem that I have with just Kyrie as a character is that just, like, what does she bring to the table, right? Like, she's just the average character, and that's good for a stability standpoint, right? You can make the Aiko argument, except on a much smaller scale, where you know what you're going to get when you play Kyrie. Very consistent character. However, unlike Aiko, who just wins the game by existing, Kyrie can win the game by dice roll, right? Like, if you get into a situation where... Like, if you get into a situation where your random spell is, like, Expel Evil, Ancestral Strength, Memory Extract, Flesh Regrowth, or... What's it called now? Or what's the one? It's like the Mind Blast, that you deal damage... You regenerate reason, but you lose max reason. Whatever that spell is, like, if you get that, along with the other spells that I just listed, if you get any of those spells for your random spell, your chances of winning the game have skyrocketed, right? Like, exponentially. And if you get Ghost Connection, and then you get any of those spells throughout your playthrough, Mind Drain, thank you. If you get Mind Drain... If you get Mind Drain or any of those other spells... you win the game, right? Like, you don't win the game guaranteed, but your chances of winning, like, skyrocket. And the thing is, to me, I think Kyrie should just start, like in her challenge run, I think she should just start with Mind Drain, right? Like, I think if Kyrie started with Mind Drain, she'd be high tier. Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, if she started with Mind Drain, I would put her in high tier. But the problem is that, like, a lot of characters, if a character is above Kyrie in okay/balanced, or if they're in high tier, what that character does is they are consistent, and they are more consistent, and just their consistency is better than Kyrie, right? Like, Aiko's the perfect example of this. Aiko is ridiculously powerful just by existing, okay? Kyrie can be powerful randomly by existing. You see the difference here? And if Kyrie does get powerful, it's still, like, around the same level as Aiko. So Kyrie is just a harder character to play because she has similar balanced stats to Aiko. Well, I mean, obviously she has different stats than Aiko, but what I mean is that her stats are balanced, right? She doesn't have, like... She isn't like Toshiaki, where he's got, like, 2 strength, or 3 strength, and then, like, 2 charisma, right? Like, she's got good stats to start with, but she just doesn't have the bonuses that other characters do that elevate them above Kyrie. And I think Kyrie is the perfect comparison character, right? I think she is the, like, gold standard for what, like, how a balanced character is in World of Horror. So I'm putting her in this tier, and I think that, like, every character is viewed at through a Kyrie lens. So moving on to Kyrie's perks, where are they? We've got Second Sight. I'll just put them all here, because I don't want to have to dig through the endless horde of images here. So, Message Redacted. Fear. So we'll start with Second Sight. I think Second Sight is exactly where it belongs. It technically is supposed to do +1 damage against ghosts and eldritch. However, it, to my knowledge, does not work on Sever, And the only character who can fight ghosts directly is Yashiro, with his little trinket. And Kyrie does not have that trinket. So really, what her ability does, Second Sight, her perk, I should say, it literally just gives +1 Eldritch damage, which is good, but it's not universal. And that's sort of how I look at characters a lot when I'm ranking them between each other, is how good are they universally in every situation? Like, how are they like a Swiss Army knife, or are they a monkey wrench, right? And so I think that Second Sight is a monkey wrench. And so I think it's fine, right? Like, if you're going up against an Eldritch enemy, which, you know, there are several of them, and I actually do think, originally, like, when I think of Eldritch enemies, I think of Vigil, because the 2 guaranteed enemies that you fight are all 3 of them are Eldritch, and you're gonna fight 2 of them. There have been a lot of instances recently where I've been, like, 1 off, or, like, 1 damage off of killing them in 2 hits. And so I think Second Sight is, like, fine. Like, I'm not gonna hate seeing it, but I'm not gonna take it, like, every time. Like, I'm only gonna take it if I'm worried about Eldritch enemies, which they're pretty bothersome sometimes. Self-therapy is really interesting, because it has an extremely powerful effect that you may randomly be able to take advantage of, and I think that's why it's also going to stay in okay, but I actually do think it's better than Second Sight. In fact, I'm going to say it's better than Running Shoes as well. Like, the problem with self-therapy is that, like, it's completely... Like, do you have a spell? Yes or no? How do you get spells? RNG. And there you go, right? Like, RNG, or you have the library for some reason. I mean, you can get spells from the History Club as well, but, like, you're not gonna be... I think if I'm ever fishing for spells in History Club so I can use self-therapy, I am most likely doing real-life desperation to try to save a run. I don't think that's, like, something that you do very often. So, personally speaking, I think self-therapy is incredible. It's a really good perk when you have spells. But when you don't have spells, which is a lot of the time, it's not very useful. Arcane Grasp is terrible. I have never... Okay, I never say never, but I have only, in my 603 episodes of this game, there have only been like 3 or 4 times I was like, having another spell slot would be nice. And it was just laziness, right? I'm pretty sure there was only one point in time where I had, like, Flesh Regrowth, Multiply Wound, Expel Evil, and then, whatchamacallit? Expel Evil, and then, like... I can't believe I forgot the name of one of the best spells in the game. But the Memory Extract. I had those 4 spells, and then I got a new spell accidentally, and I overcapped on one. I'm like, oh, that sucks, right? Like, I think that there's probably only, like, 1 run I've ever had where I'm like, Arcane Grasp would be nice. There is no character who is a spellcaster, and so Arcane Grasp is useless. Especially with the new School Notes nerf, where you... Basically, the School Notes nerf where you'll just throw it in the trash randomly. I think that's, like, one of the... That was the death nail for Arcane Grasp. It's not detrimental, because it works, and it does the thing. But, you know, it exists. I would never take it, though. It does let you bypass those terrible cadavers. I'm assuming that's for self-therapy, because there's, like, a little bit of delay between me and chat. Because, I mean, both of these actually do have blue options for cadavers, right? And both of them are good. It's just that, like, is it worth 100 EXP? Like, if you take... I don't actually remember, is it, like, 2 damage or not? But it's like, if you take 2 damage for 100 EXP, then you could have just healed it for 100 EXP, you know? For, like, +2 reason, +2 stamina. Or more if you're on a easier difficulty. Ghost Connection. It is, like... I like Ghost Connection. I think it's fun. But I think it's staying exactly where it is. I think it's, like, bottom tier of okay. Like, I think it's probably... on the lower end, the worse of okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to get it early, and you have to get lucky. But it's fun to gamble. In a video game with no real money. Okay, so that's Kyrie in the books. It's -2 reason damage for self-therapy and 4 for arcane grasp. Yeah, so like, for self-therapy, you don't really need to spend like 100 EXP to dodge -2 reason, because yeah, you could just spend 100 EXP to heal 2 reason. Like, I kind of think that's where I'm at, so I don't really factor it in. I just think self-therapy is genuinely good. So I wasn't really considering the blue option in the back of my head. Haru is next. I don't know if he's next, like, chronologically, but he's next. So, the last tier list had Haru in the worst possible tier, and he was... The tier was named after him. The tier was named after Haru. And, I mean, listen, we could go over a lot about Haru, but there's just sort of, like, the asterisk, right? Like, every positive that Haru has, great stats, at least in my opinion, great stats, the ability to get a great weapon for free, semi-auto, completely... I don't think I've ever used it, but semi-auto is amazing. It's a very good weapon. And the fact that he starts with, you know, like, he's got good drip. And he's got great perks, too. Core strength is good. Actually, what other perks does he have? Core strength, Yakuza Card, CQC training. Okay, he's got, like, 2 good perks. Correction, he has two good perks. The other 2 are eh. But, I mean, here's the thing. CQC training with semi-auto is really good, right? Like, Police Revolver Haru was okay, and you had to, like, move mountains to make it work. Semi-auto Haru, I would like to say is more reliable, because it's like, well, no, actually, Police Revolver Haru is probably more likely, because regular events are more common, and the Lumpy Officer is the only enemy in the game that has a chance to drop his items. So you basically have 2 ways to get a Police Revolver. Well, you only have 1 way to get semi-auto. Which is really weird, because, like, the promotional imagery had Toshiaki holding a semi-auto, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter, right? The problem with Haru is the nicotine withdrawal, right? Like, he just... One of the most important things in the game is attack speed, and Haru just has worse attack speed than everyone else. And so I don't really feel like you can, like, talk about him without, like, just that being the elephant in the room. Right now, of course, if you're doing old coin, right, you just put that old coin, like, near your lungs, and your lungs are perfectly healed, and you're no longer addicted to an incredibly addictive drug. But... like, old coin is backstory specific, so you have to choose that backstory. And you're not going to choose that backstory every Haru run. If you choose that backstory every Haru run, if you choose old coin every Haru run, then he's high tier, easily. But he would be a great character if he just didn't have nicotine withdrawal as a default. But I don't even feel like talking about Haru because it's just kind of sad. Like, aesthetically, he's one of the coolest characters in the game. And lore-wise, I like Haru's lore. But he's just, like, really, really bad. And, I mean, obviously, like, you can clear, and I have, Harbinger of Doom on every character. And Haru's not that bad, but it's, like, just the nicotine withdrawal alone makes him less fun to play than every other character because there's no playing around it unless you use old coin. But yeah, great strength. If you do want to play Haru, Monkey Wrench, semi-auto, one of those 2 weapons, and power level strength, and then win the game. We'll bring up Haru's perks real quick. So, core strength. I like it. I'm gonna put it in awesome tier. I think it's probably better than Hot Bath, because it's universal. Hot Bath is not universal, core strength is, even though they do different things. I value healing more than I value damage, but I value universal damage more than I value niche healing that has a chance to well, I shouldn't say has a chance to never do anything, because that's discipline, but I think discipline's a lot more reliable. Just because, like, hot bath has a downside, core strength doesn't, right? Like, there's no downside to discipline, there's no downside to core strength, there is a downside to hot bath. The fact that you have to spend doom to use it. Core strength is just +1 damage, by the way, for everything across the board. It's a very good perk. Very nice. CQC training. In the vacuum that is Haru, you would put it probably in OK, right? I would probably leave it in OK. Mainly because Haru can alternatively be fueled by cigarettes the whole game if you can get enough money. But that, like, I agree. However, it's just, like, it's annoying, and it's doom that you have to deal with. Like, there's always a downside to playing Haru, no matter what you do. And on Harbinger of Doom, where cigarettes are, like, 3 and 4 funds, it's basically never happening, right? Like, you can get, like... I think we've done a few smonking runs in the past, where it's been, like, we've gotten a couple of smonks, and then, like, a monkey wrench, and it works. It's just, like, it's extra doom that you have to deal with, and it's just, I mean, maybe you could even use, like, the vending machine. Maybe vending machine cigarette Haru would work, because it's 1% doom instead of 4%. But it just, on Harbinger of Doom, it's not really a viable strategy, because it just seems better to, like, ignore nicotine withdrawal for, like, 90% of the run and just pop cigarettes on, like, your last mystery and a half, so that you can just steamroll the entire last mystery. But, like, no other character has to deal with it, which is why Haru's gonna remain in the bad tier. But that is a valid point, Kiwi, for sure. But back to CQC training. I think CQC training is bad, right? Like, I never find myself taking it. Admittedly, I don't play Haru very often, so my chances of getting the semi-auto are very low, because the character events are pretty rare, right? Like, it's been a while. But, basically the problem that I have with CQC training is that it's not universal, takes 100 EXP, and there are better things that you could spend it on. And it really only works with 2 weapons in the game, the semi-auto and the police revolver, unless you're doing all perks as, like, Moriko, in which case that's pretty good, right? Like, you get bonus damage for your gun. That's very good, but at the same time, like, there's a big debate to be had about, like, whether all perks or character exclusive is better. And I just think that, like, spending 100 EXP on boosting the damage of a weapon type that is overwhelmingly terrible, and the only 2 viable guns in the game are character exclusive, right? Like, semi-auto and old shotgun. Police revolver can work with core strength and CQC training, but that's 200 EXP of investment, so by the time you probably get that, the game will most likely be close to over, so I don't appreciate it. I'm not an average CQC enjoyer. Irizumi. I like Irizumi a lot. I mean, first of all, fashion, World of Horror, World of Fashion is the true endgame, and getting a discount in shops is really nice, especially on Harbinger of Doom. The money aspect of it is very nice. Like, I just think -1 fun, like, getting a discount is really good. Yakuza Card, I think it's bad. The shrouded shade remains. We'll put CQC training at the top of crap, by the way, because it's actually, like, you can use it. I just don't think it's worth it. But, yeah, Yakuza Card, you get extra inventory at a shop. The reason why I think this is terrible is that most of the time, when having a larger shop inventory would be important, you've already bought everything, right? Like, when you need to have as many items in the shop as possible is when you're fishing for the gear that you're going to be using for the rest of the game, right? And if you're getting this at, like, you know, Mystery 3 or 4, you don't really need the expanded inventory, right? Like, you're not going to be in a situation, or at least you shouldn't be in a situation, where you need a single specific item. It should be later in the game, where it's like, okay, we're going to go to the pharmacy, but, you know, we want experimental drug, but we'll take prescription pills, you know? It's not necessarily like, oh boy, I have to get this or we die. And even then, those shops have smaller inventories anyways. So I just don't think Yakuza Card... It has a blue option, but who cares, right? Like, it's not very important. So I think that Haru's got 2 good perks, and then a perk that's usable, but I don't think it's worth it, which is why I put it in. In fact, you could actually, like, in context, argue that CQC training is detrimental, because the context is that I don't think it's worth the EXP, and that in, like, I believe by definition would make it detrimental, but I'm not gonna put it there. Alright, honestly, Haru would be better if he started with Maria. Yeah, no, I think, I think that, if Haru started with Maria, that would be really good. Right, like, I think that would be, like, Maria is not that powerful. Like, we've gotten her a lot. She's probably one of the rarer, newer allies that we've seen the most of. She's not that good. But the fact that she just gives you cigarettes for free per combat, that's really good, right? Like, if you started the game with Maria, you could probably do... If you got several fights in, like, the first couple of mysteries, you could probably keep the cigarette chain going for the whole game, like, relatively easily. But, like, you buy 1 pack of cigarettes, and then so you got 2, and then you got Maria. You go through the first mystery, or you go through your first several fights. You get, like, 3 or 4. I think Maria would be really good. Like, I think Maria would be really nice. Even in a combat heavy run that's still only, like, 10 smokes. True, but, like, you gotta realize that, like, most mysteries are, like, what, like 10? Or around 10? That's still like a mystery of cigarettes. Which is not a sentence that I think I would be saying. But it's true, though. Also, what song is playing here? Forest Investigation. I have Forest Investigation looping? Hold on. One moment. That's what I get for not wearing headphones. Let's put on a banger. There we go. Sorry. Forest Investigation is a good song, though. But for how long? How long have you been listening to Forest Investigation? 48 minutes! Dear God. Okay, let's move on. Koichi. This is gonna be from... This is gonna be, from what I've seen in the Discord, highly controversial. But I think Koichi is high tier. And let me explain why. Koichi is Haru, but without nicotine withdrawal. That is my... That is my Galaxy Brain statement of the night, okay? This is the hottest take that I'll ever have. Well, except when I said Mizuki was good. But, listen. Koichi has great strength. He starts with a camera, which is a blue option. And... he's just... he's good. Like, he's a good character. His perks are... bad. For the most part, his perks are, like, not exciting. But he is just he is the character that Haru wishes Haru could be, right? Like, he can use the monkey wrench easily. Somebody already said Brick the character, funky fresh, you are correct. Improvise Brick, very funny. But he can use bricks too, like, bricks are incredible, but, you know, any character can easily win the game with bricks. But Koichi can win a little bit easier with bricks, that is true. But that's not why I put him in high tier. I put him in high tier because I like his stats. High strength, high perception, high knowledge. Absolutely fantastic. I think strength is probably the best stat in the game. Which there's absolutely no, absolutely zero Dark Souls bias here whatsoever. But I think it's the best stat in the game. He can use the monkey wrench perfectly easily. He can use the chainsaw. The only thing, like, Koichi is easily the worst of high tier. Easily, because he doesn't have any attack speed, he doesn't really have any healing. but just he's got fantastic stats, and he has high stats in everything that I think really matters, right? Because you can get free items with perception. There's a whole lot of knowledge checks in the game, and there's a lot of strength checks in the game too. Although I think strength has like one of the lower checks, but they're very like I think strength checks are like I don't know the exact number. It's been a while since I checked, but just the fact alone that he's got three incredible high stats: strength, perception, and knowledge. And here's the thing, I don't like perception. I don't like leveling perception. I think it's probably the worst stat in the game. But having high perception means that you get free items, which is nice. I wouldn't level perception to get free items, except in very specific circumstances. But I think that just having it having it gives him an advantage that other characters don't. Also, the pocket knife event attack, that is true. I believe that's a strength check as well. So, if you're power leveling strength on Koichi, like you should be, and you get that event, you can threaten... It's threaten the woman, right? You threaten the woman, you get the pocket knife. Like, the pocket knife is free -4 doom, which is absolutely incredible, which is one of the things that I think bumped Koichi up for me on the tier list. Because he's got great... Like, he's got great personal events, and he's got okay perks. They're a little unexciting, though. Like, there's only one perk. Like, people go crazy for the specific perk. But, yeah, no. Like, camera for free blue option, +1 knowledge, great item. Great strength, free items from perception, high knowledge. Cannot complain about Koichi. The only thing holding him back is that he's got really, really, like, unexciting perks. Like, there's one perk that the crowd goes wild for, but it's not that game-changing. So let's talk about Koichi perks. We'll just throw them on there. And we get to do the exciting one first, because it was up front. Improvise. Bonus damage when throwing items. Here's the thing. This is going to be a controversial thing. The main purpose of Improvise is not for bricks. Because, yeah, okay, like, was like 10 damage, 11 damage bricks? Yeah, no, it's completely broken. But I'm trying to not consider brick meta when I'm making this tier list, because brick meta is going to get nerfed. The bricks... the developer has already announced a brick nerf. They're going to go back to doing... They're going to go to do 5 damage when thrown instead of 7. So, Improvise would most likely just be taking it back up to 7. So maybe it would be a little bit more brick-specific in the future. But for now, I think that the main purpose of Improvise is with those extra things that Koichi just seems to pick up, right? Because he's got high perception, you know, he's getting, like, free items. Would a nerf down to 5 be enough? Oh, absolutely not. Bricks are still going to be ridiculously broken, even at 5. But they're just going to be slightly less. You're going to have to get, like, 1 more than you normally would want. Which is not a big deal. But, like, the thing about Improvise, which is so good to me, is just the fact that any weapon that you don't need anymore, like whether you get, like, a branch, or, like, a steak knife, or a... What's it? Branch, steak knife. There's a couple other things that you can scavenge as well. Just anything that you get that you no longer need can now contribute a significant portion of damage to fighting. So I like Improvise a lot, and it's a very fun perk, but I'm gonna put it like above Second Sight, because I think it's more relevant. It's definitely more relevant, but it's also kind of on the same like RNG scale as Self-Therapy is, as your ability to use it is completely random, right? Like, even bricks, which are pretty common, that's still a random element. But yeah, no, you could just get Improvise, you could get an entire inventory full of bricks, and you could kill God. I mean, you could kill God anyways, you could just kill God with, like, 3 less bricks. Just reminds me of, like, the the secret strat in Princess Maker 2 where you can have your 10-year-old daughter kill the god of war by throwing bombs at him. But, alright. We already ranked Irizumi. Reporter's Bag is terrible. I think it's probably the worst perk in the game because of the inventory glitch, right? The inventory glitch is incredibly easy to do now because of bricks. You can get as many inventory slots as you want for way less investment than Reporter's Bag. +1 inventory slot isn't even that good to begin with, because even the infinite inventory glitch isn't necessary to use, or, like, what would you use the infinite inventory glitch for? Bricks, that's it, right? Like, I do not use the infinite inventory glitch frequently, and I don't need more than 4 inventory slots. And if for some reason I do, I can get as many as I want instantly. Well, you know, close to instantly. You have to get into combat first. But, like, Reporter's Bag has always been one of the worst perks in the game, but it is now the worst perk in the game, because it literally is invalidated by a brick that you pick up on the ground. Deduction. I think Deduction is kind of similar to Ghost Connection. You've got to get it early, and you mostly will take it when you're trying to level up quickly. It's +20 EXP per mystery. It's very nice. It helps out the lighthouse a lot, because you're probably going to level up in extra time because of it. Even if you take it late, because there's a lot of times at the end of the game where you're leveling up in the lighthouse because of the, like, EXP you get from those skill checks. And so I think Deduction is fine. It's not very exciting, though. I will admit it's not very exciting. And so it's gonna... I think it's better than Ghost Connection. In fact, I'd say it's better than Second Sight as well. +1 damage against Eldritch just doesn't seem all that appealing compared to Deduction, which is probably gonna get you... It's gonna pay for itself as far as perks are concerned most of the time, and it's gonna give you a stat bonus or a healing bonus in the interim period, which is really nice. Fast Hands is bad. It's not worse than Reporter's Bag, because at least it can do something, but it's just, all in all, not... Like, being able to swap equipment during combat is not exciting. And most of the time, there have been some instances in the game where I'm like, oh, I wish I had Fast Hands, but, you know, not anytime recently, and not normally. We're to Miku already. We're an hour in and we haven't even gotten through the vanilla characters yet. Fast Hands is a blue option for -5 Doom. I don't think I've ever used it. I did not know that, because I've just never used Fast Hands. I don't think I don't think it's even worth -5 Doom. But moving on to Miku now. Now listen, I like Miku a lot. She's my personal favorite character. Also, we have freaking Mizuki and Mimi over here. It's got, like, mixed up. Hold on. We'll do Mizuki, actually, because that's more, like, coherent in the timeline. Although we should have done Mizuki, then Koichi, I think? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There'll be chapters anyways. So, Mizuki. Mizuki is an interesting character. This is also probably going to be another hot take. Mizuki, to me, when I first started playing the game, was a high-tier character, right? This is where I would put her around. And I think that, like, from the perspective... Oh my god, it went back to Forest Investigation from the Shuffle. That's hilarious. But, Mizuki, for me, I think she's better than Kyrie, for sure. But she requires a little bit of setup. Just like we won't put Haru in high tier because of Old Coin, we won't put Mizuki in bad because of 7th Curse, right? Like, if you're playing 7th Curse Mizuki, that's a conscious choice that you're making. She's a perfectly viable character. She gets Irizumi for free some of the time, which is really, really nice. And I think... So here's the thing. Mizuki has to do more work than other characters to achieve similar results. However, when it all comes together, it's absolutely fantastic. I think the best thing, like, worst case scenario as Mizuki, you get plus 12% attack speed, which is nothing to scoff at. Best case scenario, you can get more. You can get a lot of attack speed. You can get 30% plus as Mizuki. And while that is a very rare scenario, she has the ability to snowball out of control, which not many characters have, right? Just like the best characters in the game. Like, she has the ability to snowball out of control. Probably she has the worst snowball out of control, but being able to snowball into an unstoppable goddess is still being able to snowball into an unstoppable goddess. Her stats are terrible. Having charisma as a high stat is terrible, it's awful, but it does enable her to get that 12% attack speed because she can get 3 allies at the beginning of the game. Well, she starts with 1, she can recruit 2, that's 12% because each ally is 4% attack speed. I think Mizuki definitely needs a buff. She used to be one of the best characters in the game, at least in my opinion. Fear Festival nerf hit her hard, because now she can no longer stack ridiculous ally numbers and have, like, literal armies, but she's still a great character. I just think that she's better than Kyrie, but she is less reliable than Kyrie, and you do have to put in more work to get similar results to a Kyrie power leveling knowledge, for instance. But being able to stack attack speed in ways that other characters can't by default, I think that's really nice. Specific strategies that I can think of is, you know, you can run away early with something like a small candle. You can try to recruit as many allies as possible and then get a monkey wrench. Although monkey wrench is a little sus at the beginning of the game because you're going to have, like, what, like 4 or 3 strength? Maybe 5? I'm pretty sure it's like 5-4, depending on what difficulty you're playing on. But, yeah, I think Mizuki definitely got worse, but I'm not comfortable putting her in the bad tier because she just, like, unlike Haru, Mizuki can just snowball the game easily, right? Like, well, not easily, but she can snowball the game. Haru can't really do that. Like, Haru can snowball at the end when he's using his last cigarettes, but she isn't reliant. Like, once Mizuki gets going, she's an unkillable engine. But with Haru, you always have a downside specifically. I mean, you do have downsides with Mizuki as well. But she gets free perks. She gets one of Haru's good perks as well, which is very nice. But we'll talk about Mizuki's perks right now, wherever they are. Okay, so signed contract. Get money at the end of every mystery. I like it, but I think it's easily the worst. It's easily the worst of okay. Now, the reason why this is good, okay? The reason why or I shouldn't say it's okay, or the reason why it's good, I should say why it's okay, is because, let's say that you just bought something. What song are we on now? Seaside Investigation. Okay, go to School Investigation. When you spend all your money, sometimes you don't want to deal with Jar of Blood Man, right? Like, sometimes you don't want to sell a jar of your own blood, or a jar of your own fondest memories, or perhaps peace and quiet. And so that basically eliminates it from the game. You'll always have money. It's the worst money generation perk, I'm pretty sure, but it's still fine. It's not bad. It's certainly usable, and it will save you some damage in the interim period. Parting Gift, I mean, I know I just said signed contract's probably the worst of okay. Parting Gift is, I'm gonna put it, it's bad, alright? We're gonna put it above Fast Hands. The thing about Parting Gift, the only situation where Parting Gift is good is you have an end-of-game lighthouse where Takashi is not a concern and you need to make the stat checks, but it's completely unreliable. It's random, unreliable, and there's always a chance that you get plus luck, which is a nightmare. So very bad. I think that parting gift builds are really fun, and you can, because you have that 3 ally limit with the schoolyard, you can cycle through allies to boost your stats, which is really fun. Is it good? Not really. I think it's usable, but you're going way out of your way to making a mediocre strategy work. It's fun, but not like Harbinger of Doom run winning. Occult Signs used to be the GOAT. It used to be like one of the best perks in the game because you could just spam spells. And I mean, you can still spam spells, it's true. But I just kind of find the spamming spells, I think, is annoying, right? That's what I'll leave it at that. The spellcasting system and quick casts are not properly fleshed out, so it's just a little bit annoying. It is just a little bit annoying, I'll admit. But the 2 EXP can be nice every now and again, and there are spells that you'll cast frequently. It's just that when do you get a spellcasting Mizuki build going? Pretty much never. Like, thematically, I think it's cool. Like an idol given some, like, occult shout-out. You hear that a lot in, like an idol given, like, an occult, devilish shout-out, something like that. And then, like, the cultists in the audience, they know, dun dun dun. But, you know, it is what it is. I think it's fine. Actually, I think I'll probably put it below. Like, I mean, here's the thing. It's good, it's just tedious to use, right? So, I think it's fine. As far as EXP generation perks go, there are worse ones. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Occult Signs is pretty pog with Memory Extract. Yeah, 8 EXP. Like, it's 2 EXP when you cast Memory Extract, right? So it would be 8 EXP instead of 10. And by that I mean you gain 2 EXP for casting a spell. Or, oh, well... See, my experience with Occult Signs is back when Flesh Regrowth wasn't a functional perk, and you could just cast it infinitely, I used that to get Mizuki to, like, over level 100 or something like that. And then we had, like, plus 30 in every single stat, right? So Occult Signs is good. It's just, like, it's just kind of tedious to use. And the amount of opportunities that you have to use it, you'd be taking it on Mizuki, and then it would never be doing anything for, like, 9 out of 10 runs. Fame. I really like Fame. I think Fame is a good perk. Fame is a fantastic perk. And again, like, this might be controversial, it being in the Super Triple S Ghost Rare, but you can get 3 allies every game, regardless of what character you're playing, if you have the Schoolyard. Actually, you know what? Now that I've just said that out loud, I'm gonna put it in Awesome, because you're not taking the Schoolyard all the time. The Schoolyard's pretty bad, right? Like, you're never gonna be in an all-perk situation, right? Like, you're never gonna be in an all-perk situation where you're like, oh, what if I got Fame? I need to keep the Schoolyard. No, you're never gonna say that. You're never gonna be in a position like that. You'd be fishing for that, right? Like, you'd be... Right, like, you'd be fishing for Fame. You'd be re-rolling that button. You'd never get it. Like, you can. It's probably happened to me before, but it's just, like, not, Like, School Nurse and History Club are just overwhelmingly better than Library and, Schoolyard. So, yeah, like, that is what it is, right? Like, Fame is amazing if you have a way of getting allies, or if you random into allies. Schoolyard requires Charisma. Yes and no, Sylvain, yes and no. Because there is that threat level. And when you get to... Kiwi did the math. Or Kiwi figured it out, I should say. But, like... If it's like at 80% Doom, you can threaten everybody there and they'll all join you. And so, yeah, that is like an end-of-the-game last resort. But I could see some, like... I could see some shenanigans, for sure. But yeah, I just think that, the fact that it's so reliant on Schoolyard is, like... Because you need Schoolyard to get that 12%. Because if you're playing Mizuki without the schoolyard, then you're guaranteed 4%. If you're playing any other character and you get fame from all perks, you're guaranteed 0%. So, you also have to use a history club if you want it fast enough. I don't think, I don't agree with that, actually. Every run that I've done with Mizuki where I rush fame from history club, I've lost. I've lost almost every single one of those runs. I think that, like, we were playing Mizuki before history club existed, and Mizuki was, like, one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion. I know that that's something that I have, like, people disagree with. So, you know, I don't think history club is necessary to make Mizuki work. But you do need, like, the schoolyard, that is necessary, especially after the ye old Fear Festival nerf. And yeah, I think that's probably where we're keeping Mizuki. I'm pretty happy with that. So Mimi, I have to be very careful with what I say here. This is the community's favorite character. I think that Mimi is probably the top of balanced tier. I think the problem with Mimi that I have is the scalpel is dog water, and she has minus max reason. I think that the problem with... I mean, yeah, that's basically just it. I do not like the scalpel. I think the scalpel's very bad. I don't like the, yeah, I just don't like the scalpel. That's probably, like, the... Oh my god, the song went back to Forest Investigation. What the heck is happening here? There's no smooth transitions here. This is just, we're gonna turn Shuffle off, and then we're gonna go to Mystery Investigation. That's what we'll do. So you won't hear Forest Investigation for a while. Shuffle loves Forest Investigation. Holy bursh. But, yeah, so... I think the scalpel is a bad weapon. It's very much a late-game weapon because of the terrible accuracy, so you have to level up in order to use it, like, to the effect that you would like it at. But the thing is, that also makes it sketchy fighting any boss, because bosses usually have around 30% power. Which scares me. So an inaccurate weapon... Only Emmerdale transitions, you're freaking goddamn right. But, yeah, so... She's got an inaccurate weapon, and she's got minus max reason. Which, especially with scars, that can be very scary. But I'm not gonna put in one specific backstory as, like, changing her ranking. I think she's more consistent than Mizuki for sure, and First Aid is a fantastic perk. I think First Aid's a fantastic perk. Although I do need to check here. How's the live stream doing? Okay, yeah, just the YouTube version was, like, flickering for a bit, so if you have any weird issue, just refresh the page. Also, I've been listening to Pulse this whole time. Get me out of here. Okay, so... Pros of Mimi. Good stats. Amazing perks. Well, amazing perk. Game-winning perk, even. Cons of Mimi. Her weapon is bad. Pro of weapon, you can sell it for money. So what I would recommend doing with Mimi is I would recommend selling the scalpel immediately. That's definitely what I would recommend doing. You sell the scalpel, you buy something that's not bad. You know, she can even, with 6 strength, she can even use the monkey wrench if you want. If you're absolutely insane, she can use the monkey wrench. But more specifically, you know, you buy the heavy-duty flashlight, you buy the small candle. I wouldn't necessarily say ritual dagger. I don't know if that's better or worse on accuracy. Or you could just use the scalpel, right? Like, it's not a big deal. She can guarantee 8 damage a turn with the scalpel, base, out of box. I don't think that's necessarily fantastic in the current meta. But another thing that you could easily say is Web. If she's got bad early game combat, just supplement it with bricks, and you're completely right. I think she's a great character for, like, here's the thing. She's got great stats for knowledge, perception, decent strength. And most importantly, though, the best thing about Mimi, and we'll just throw this in Super Triple S Ghost Rare, is First Aid. First Aid is absolutely fantastic. Killing an enemy and getting +2 reason back is really nice. When you're fighting, you really only want to take, 2 or 3 points of damage once, at, max, right? And so being able to heal is, if you have cracked combat, you'll be at max reason for the whole game. If you have, normal combat, then it won't be as punishing, right? If you have good combat, then you're set for life. If you have bad combat, it can potentially rescue the run by healing you. It's incredibly consistent, because if there's one thing this game likes to do, it's to throw eldritch monsters at you for you to kill. It is very much a, oh no. Anyway, right? That's the perk. People even made that as a meme on Twitter. But yeah, First Aid is absolutely cracked. Now, her other perks, on the other hand, we have our first detrimental of the day. That's Fast Learner. Fast Learner is a 1-to-1 ratio of combat damage to EXP. The problem with Fast Learner is that you never want to get hit. Every point of damage you take is 1 point of damage too much, and it doesn't work outside of combat. If Fast Learner worked outside of combat, it would probably be one of the craziest perks in the game, because you take a lot of damage from events. But Fast Learner is a 1-to-1 ratio for damage to EXP. So if you get hit by 1 stamina, you're getting 1 EXP. If you're getting hit by -1 all, you're getting 2 EXP. It's bad. You don't want to get hit. Do not get hit. We have taken it so many times, and by that I mean we've probably taken it 5. It's not good. It can do a little bit of trolling as a treat. Not that great. I put it in detrimental because it encourages you to get hit, right? If you want to get the benefit of your perk, you need to take damage. You don't want to take damage. Taking damage is bad. The best perks in the game are the perks that help you avoid taking damage. So that's why Fast Learner is detrimental. Anatomy class. I like Anatomy class a lot, because some of the most annoying enemies in the game are human. However, I will put it above Hot Bath, but not anywhere closer than that. I don't want, Anatomy class is great, and it does have, we call some events the Mimi tax, or you're not playing Mimi tax, because Anatomy class, I think it has 2 blue options now, the guy, the guy who wants you to carry him down the staircase, is that right? And then, the spider doll thing. I think those are both Anatomy class procs. Anatomy class is good. Human enemies are really annoying. That's just true. Human enemies are incredibly annoying. And there's a lot of them, too. So it's probably the best out of the specific damage perks, for sure. Okay, moving on. Finally getting to the best girl of World of Horror, in my opinion. Now, the thing about Miku, and the thing about World of Horror in general, the hardest part of the game is the early game. Literally, the most difficult part of the game is surviving your first, 2 or 2.5 mysteries. Your stats are low, your stats are bad, you don't have anything good, you need to live until you get that stuff. The problem, and the problem that Miku has, is that her stats are absolutely terrible. However, Mayhem is absolutely cracked. Every 20% Doom, you get +1 to all of your stats. So, essentially, Miku has the ability to not necessarily, snowball, but she does snowball very decently. I think... I said that Mizuki probably has the worst snowball. I think I'm going to amend that statement. Well, no, I actually... I think that Miku definitely has the worst snowball, but her stats are really... Her stats in the end game get really nice. The only reason I'm gonna put her ahead of Kyrie and probably ahead of Mizuki, because I think she's more consistent, because both Miku and Mizuki have terrible early games. And it's not until you get to, like, Mystery 2 or 3 that you finally got control over your Shiikawa life. And the thing is, Miku just... As the game goes on, Miku gets stronger naturally, while as the game goes on for Mizuki, she just has more RNG opportunities to become stronger. +4 to all stats in total is absolutely cracked. And most importantly, most importantly, Miku also has some of the best perks in the game. So, let's talk about them. She's got 4 perks. 3 of them are fantastic. Okay, let's do this one at a time, alright? Adrenaline. Adrenaline is literally fast swimmer. It's literally fast swimmer. I think there's, like, a difference in wording. Like, maybe one of them only does, like, attacks, and then and the other one does, like, everything. And so if that's the case, then whichever one does everything, you put that ahead. It doesn't really matter, though. The slowest things in the game are attacks and brace for impact, which Miku has such an incredible line, which is power leveling strength. And it's so absolutely cracked that it's not really a big deal, regardless. Adrenaline is 15% attack speed. It's very good. It's absolutely incredible. It's basically fast swimmer, but in my opinion, cooler art. And yeah, I mean, everything that I said about fast swimmer pretty much applies to Adrenaline, so just going over it, it makes weapons like the Monkey Wrench and the Heavy Duty Flashlight incredibly powerful, and it makes weapons like the Small Candle and the Steak Knife into machine guns, although I wouldn't recommend using dexterity weapons on Miku. I would, unless it's the katana, pretty much. But yeah, Adrenaline's really nice. And pretty much everything I said about Fast Swimmer applies to Adrenaline, and that's why it's, like, right next to it. Like, I believe they're literally just interchangeable, right? Like, it doesn't really matter which one's ahead of the other. Miku is kind of like a Fire Emblem villager in terms of unit feel. True. It is true. Doomed Already. I absolutely love this perk. Doomed Already, I'm actually going to put it ahead of First Aid. I think the incredible thing about Doomed Already is the fact that as the game goes on, skill checks become harder and harder. And what Doomed Already does is, when you fail a skill check, +1 reason, you are going to be failing so many skill checks in World of Horror. Especially, like, even with how Harbinger of Doom works, even when you've got +4 to all your stats, at the end game you've got 12 strength, you're still going to be failing a lot of skill checks because of that -2 modifier. Or, well, technically +2 modifier, but you know what I mean. It makes it harder by 2. So even if you have, like, 8 in every stat, that's still average, right? That's still 6 from because you're going to get lowered to, 6 because of the -2 to the +2 to the dice roll, it's weird, okay? You're just gonna, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. Game is weird. But, Doomed Already, +1 reason per failed skill check is incredible. It's amazing. Like, it's just so good. Like, you will, like, I can't even describe how good this is. And also, for some reason, it works in the Lighthouse. When you, I believe, succeed a skill check, so that's very strange. But, yeah, Doomed Already is absolutely fantastic. Then we got Looting. Looting is another banger. I'm actually gonna put this above Anatomy class. I don't know if I value the money generation more than the damage. In fact, I think I do. Because here's the thing. Looting is kind of bugged, right? Like, it gives you way more money than you think you're gonna get, and so it's not uncommon to be playing Miku and you have 12 funds, right? You get, like, 8 funds, you get 12 funds, depending on how early you get it. It's very nice, right? Like, It is incredible, honestly, how much money you can get from looting. And what that means is, now you're like, Web, you don't like, signed contract or Yakuza Card because you buy all your stuff at the early game. That's true. But you know what? You never know when you're going to get cadaver after cadaver after cadaver, and your 11 reason just turned into 2. And so you need to run to the pharmacy to go buy experimental drug. And, sometimes looting makes the difference there. Sometimes looting lets you buy whatever you want. So in that case where it's sort of like, it gives you enough money to where you never have to worry about Jar of Blood again, and you never have to worry about specifically, and I think this is partly a bug for Miku, like when you get like adrenaline or whatever, you get +1 funds per enemy anyways, versus, and then you stack looting on top of that, it just gets really stupid. But seriously, it's incredible. It really is. Now, the final perk I'm gonna put as detrimental pickpocket. Now, it's better than fast learner because it actually has a single use in the game, but that is where the bait is. There is only one enemy in the entire game, to my knowledge, asterisk, that has a chance of dropping an item, which is what pickpocket does. When you defeat an enemy, it increases your chances of getting an item. Most enemies, like, Stock Chun, Aspiring Model, Young Witch, Stalker Girl, etc., etc., they're all guaranteed to drop their items 100% of the time. Meaty Visitor, just another one. However, Lumpy Officer, who has a chance of dropping his police revolver, that's pretty much the only thing I can think of. That's the only enemy in the game that I can think of that has a chance of dropping something. Like, even the Sniffling Gardener always drops the shovel. Right, so Pickpocket, the reason why I'm putting it in detrimental is because it might trick a new player into thinking that it's useful. Right? Like, if you see something that's like, oh, higher chance of getting items, that sounds great. And it only works on one enemy who only shows up in one zone who you're probably never gonna see because we see him like once every 15 episodes. A complete waste of time. A complete waste of time. You're never gonna be in a situation where Pickpocket is good, right? Like, the only time I could think that Pickpocket would be good is if you're playing Haru and you're so unlucky that you didn't get semi-auto. Alright, let's move on to Moriko. Hello, Unholy Bun. Howdy. How are you doing tonight, or today, depending on your time zone? Okay, Moriko. I mean, listen, it should not come as a surprise where Moriko is on this tier list. She used to be my considered best character in the game. Moriko is ridiculously powerful in pretty much every aspect in the game. The one thing holding her back is her stats got nerfed for Harbinger of Doom. Well, everybody's stats got nerfed for Harbinger of Doom. But Moriko has always had... And that assumes that Pickpocket actually affects her chance. That's true. Wait, I don't know if anybody's actually tested Pickpocket to see if it does anything on Lumpy Officer because of how niche it is. But back to Moriko, because again there's like a delay, so that's my bad, which is why I'm responding to comments before we get into it. But Pickpocket is made worse by the fact that Lumpy Officer is in the least used area in the game. Yep, like you never see Lumpy Officer ever. And you'd probably just, like, Lumpy Officer is probably one of the best enemies to fight in the game because he gives you -3 Doom when you kill him. But, like, he's competing with other enemies as well, right? Like, enemies who are universal and can show up anywhere, like the Cultist Hunters. And he's also competing with the Sniffling Gardener, right? Because he's a village enemy. And, like, yeah, when do you go to the village? Like, never. Like, you never go to the village, like, almost ever. Like, you go to it, like, a few times for Bulletin, but that's it. And for some side quests as well, like Coma. But yeah, don't pick Pickpocket. It's terrible, right? It would be in crap tier if it wouldn't trick people into thinking that it's a perk that does something. Because I could definitely imagine people getting confused about Pickpocket. It's not worth it. The Police Revolver isn't even a good item to begin with. Like, it's viable if you try. But, okay, Moriko. Obviously, like, she's the best character. In the previous patch, she was the best character in the game. By far. She takes what makes Aiko good, and she kind of makes it better, right? She's got 20% attack speed, which admittedly is less than Aiko's 25%, but she also has one of the best weapons in the game, the old shotgun. It's absolutely fantastic. It's an incredible weapon, and it's a weapon that she starts the game with, so you don't have to buy a weapon, so that frees up a lot of money from the Witch's Tree, which essentially can also free up curses as well, because you don't have to get cursed as many times as you otherwise would. Can't even sell the revolver. You can sell the revolver with Yakuza Card, can't you? Or is that still bugged? But old shotgun, absolute banger for sure. Or maybe you can sell it at the illegal den if you have that. I'm pretty sure you can do that too. But I don't know. But yeah, old shotgun, one of the best weapons in the game, one of the most reliable weapons in the game. It's got great accuracy. And yeah, that's about it. Her stats are mediocre to bad, which is a problem. But then we get into her perks. Scroll down a little bit too far there. We have her perks. Deft handling is not that great in a vacuum, right? Like, it would probably be around where CQC training is. But you get this perk on the character who has one of the best weapons in the game, which happens to be a gun. 20% attack speed on the old shotgun is absolutely cracked. You can easily power level perception as Moriko, especially from stuff like art knowledge and flashlight are very good things to buy with the extra money that you'd normally spend on a weapon. Very nice. It's not... I wouldn't put it anywhere near Fast Swimmer or Adrenaline, though, which is why it's probably going to be the worst of Ghost Rare. But it's a really nice... It's really nice. Moriko does not have attack speed problems because of this perk. Ammo Stash. Ammo Stash is bad. It's probably the best of bad, but I think, at least this is how I used to look at it. I would used to say, like, Ammo Stash is, like, the best of bad, but I think it's somewhere in the okay rarity now, and I'd probably put it above Second Sight as well. The thing that's nice about this, but also Ammo Stash is made redundant by bricks, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The reason why Ammo Stash is decent is because Moriko has, well, I mean, she can have a little bit of a rough early game until she gets online with deft handling, or she gets the healing from Daddy's Girl, right? Which we'll also just preemptively throw up there as well, because I think it's a really good perk. But, maybe it's here. I don't know, maybe it's here? I'm not entirely sure, we'll think about that in a minute. But the problem with Ammo Stash is just the fact that, like, you use it to supplement a bad early game, and you can do that with bricks. And I do it with bricks. I don't take Ammo Stash, because here's the thing. Would you rather pay 100 EXP for something that's not deft handling? Or would you rather pay, like, maybe 5% Doom for a couple of bricks that can get you through your first couple of mysteries for combat-wise, right? So, I would rather just... I would rather just ignore Ammo Stash. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's a good enough perk. It should be buffed for sure. I don't know how you'd buff it, but it's not competitive in the current brick economy. Daddy's Girl, +2 stamina. Ammo Stash is like 1 to 2 bullets at the end of every mystery, by the way. Maybe it should be like 2 bullets guaranteed, 3 bullets, I don't know, something like that. But you could break the game with that, so maybe not, but... Daddy's Girl, +2 stamina at the end of every mystery. I'll probably put this in awesome tier below. Above, below, probably above Discipline. It's really nice, really good healing. Almost rivals Yashiro. Maybe a bullet after every combat encounter. I was thinking that, but that could be a little bit... I think maybe that could work. But, no, I don't think it would be that insane, because it's like... You still do have to deal with the ringing ears. Because you could, like, what you did say, you could chain bullet after bullet after bullet after bullet, but I don't really think, like, you can just chain brick after brick. Like, in the meta that we're in, your suggestion would just be bringing Ammo Stash up with everything else, which is everything else being the unlimited brick works. It'd be fun. Maybe, like, rename it Tactical Reload. Remember, switching weapons is always faster than reloading. But, yeah, so Daddy's Girl is... It's a good perk. I like it a lot. but the downside is that it's only stamina. But it does rival Yashiro's innate healing, which is really nice. Now we're getting into the danger area. We're getting into the danger area because I don't have these pictures. But Yashiro. Yashiro is going to be the other character who is worse than Kyrie. Like, there's two characters who I think that are worse than Kyrie. I think Yashiro is one of them. Unless you're playing, again, with Ominous, or not Ominous Letter, Old Coin. If you're playing with Old Coin, he's fantastic. He's probably around... If you're playing with Old Coin, he's probably not better than Moriko, but he's probably around here. I think that the problem with Yashiro is just the fact that the old letter, the Ominous Letter, exists. 140 EXP to level up is a crime, right? Like, it shouldn't be allowed to exist. Like, it makes Yashiro so unbelievably punishing and difficult compared to every other character, but he does have incredible self-healing, which is, like, if he didn't have his self-healing, he would be bad. But he does have his self-healing, and that makes me think that he could be better than Kyrie. But the problem that I have is that his self-healing is tied to Faith Mechanic, which Faith Mechanic is really annoying, because it's for every point of damage you take, you lose Faith. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so you take 3 all, you lose 6 Faith. You go below certain thresholds, you lose your healing, you lose your bonus dexterity. It's just really, like... Yashiro was the first gimmick character, if that makes sense, right? Like, he's the first character who was designed to be played around his specific gimmick, and that shows. Like, that completely shows. For sure, he is the first character to be designed around a gimmick. And you could say Mazuki is designed to be played around a gimmick, but you can play Mazuki and ignore the allies. It's just harder. Yashiro, you have to deal with Faith. You cannot ignore Faith. You have to make sure that your Faith is strong enough. You know, Faith in the smallest amounts. We'll giving you power where it counts. If you say to this mountain, move from here to there, blah, 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 blah. I've listened to T. Stebbins, too. But, like, besides having the, you know, the Faith outfit, he doesn't really have a lot going for him. I mean, he has a lot going for him. But his gimmick is undercooked, I guess you could say. And it's a lot less intricate than the gimmicks over here. But we'll rank the perks real quick. Stealth is just silly. I like stealth. And there are definitely some fights you have to run away from. I think it's probably, like, above Occult Signs, below Irizumi. I think that's fair. It's a goofy perk, and it's a lot of fun, and the perk art is incredibly based. Love the perk art. Absolutely love the perk art. Really good. My Weird Collection. I have actually come around on this perk a lot. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's probably the worst perk in Awesome. It, like... This is the only, like, at the end of every mystery perk I would put in Awesome, by the way. And now that you can see it on your screen, ignore these. These are the old... You can't take images out of your tier list. You either have to make a new one, or you have to make a new one. And so, I didn't feel like making a new one. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Right, I've gotten some water. We're good now. Okay, so My Weird Collection. It's the only perk that I'm putting here that's like at the end of a mystery get like random item, which I mean basically the competition would be Ghost Connection. Occult items are fun. and they can be valuable. Like, you could get the, I'm pretty sure you could get the Charisma ring that gives you 2 funds. You could get a stat ring, and that could give you the strength or dexterity that you need to clear the lighthouse. And so what you could do at that point is, like, you can get a lot of fun stuff from My Weird Collection. That worst case scenario, it's 1 fund. Best case scenario, it's something you can actually use, which is really nice. And then we've got Zeal. So Zeal is -4 max health for +1 damage. So it's objectively worse than core strength. It's -4 for +1 damage. That's not a huge deal in the near the middle to end game, where you're kind of like already hurt and you're not going to be healing a lot, right? I think that's fair enough to say. However, taking it early game, you're losing a lot of basically cadaver wiggle room, is the best way that I can describe it. And so I would just rather... Are we really back on Forest Investigation? Oh my god. Just skip to Seaside, that's fine. Link in the description, by the way, for the World of Horror OST. So the thing about Zeal is that, like, it's offset by Yashiro's gimmick, which is nice, and it's basically, like, it's just an objectively worse core strength. It's offset by Yashiro's gimmick, and it's pretty helpful. I mean, +1 damage is +1 damage, it's very nice. But I would think, or at least for me personally, I would say that On Your Own is probably better. And this is kind of weird to rank, obviously, because you've got 2 perks that do very different things, but they're competing because you get them on the same character. I really like On Your Own. Actually, you know what? I'll put On Your Own above Anatomy Class. I'll give Zeal the upper hand here. The thing that I like about On Your Own is that allies are a very niche mechanic. You don't see allies very often. And so most of the time it's just +1 stats. The only time it's bad is if you have, literally the only time it's bad is if you have Kana, if you have eels. That's it. That's the only time On Your Own is bad. And if you're playing Yashiro and you see eerie episode of Evolving Eels, you just never take On Your Own, because Kana is overwhelmingly just one of the most powerful things in the game. The most powerful old god on your side. But yeah, no. On Your Own is pretty good. To my knowledge, Dogs and Hermit contribute to On Your Own, so you can't have +1 to all your stats if you have one of them. I'm pretty sure. I could be, somebody could correct me on that, though. But yeah, I just think +1 to all stats is really good, for sure. There's not really much I can say about +1 to all your stats. It's just very good. On harder difficulties, or in the late game where more things, the threat level's rising, it's significantly worse, but it's nice. It's not bad. It's not bad. Also, is the song even being freaking detected over here? Like, I'm looking at the desktop audio. Very quiet. We'll up that audio a little bit. I'll listen to it for a hot minute. There we go. That sounds a little bit better. Actually, I'll turn it down just a smidge. There we go. That should be perfect. But yeah, no. So On Your Own's good. It's better than pretty much everything in OK for sure. It just is a bummer that, like, when you get eerie episode of Evolving Eels as Yashiro, or all perks, and you see it, like, the most devastating thing, or one of the most devastating things I've ever seen in the game, is I was playing all perks, and I got On Your Own, and then I had a like, I had Kana, and so I just couldn't take it. It was sad. It was sadness. So, we are done with character-specific perks that I have pictures of. So first, before we get to the main event here, let's rank Hyanno, which, Hyanno, you hate to see it. Now, for those of you who don't know who Hyanno is the example custom character for the game. So this is a custom character who was created by Panstash and I believe one other person, but I could be wrong on that. But the bottom line, though, is that Hyanno is the official custom character example, and she is in the game files. You just need to know how to enable her, which is moving one folder to a different folder, right? So, Hyanno, she's official content as far as I'm concerned, so we're going to rank her, and you can immediately see that she's in bad tier. The reason why is her stats are terrible. Her stats are absolutely atrocious. I haven't given precise stat readouts. I've had World of Horror running this whole time, whoops. I haven't been giving precise readouts for this tier list because stats are liable to change. It's an early access game, but I think the themes of the character probably will, stay consistent. But let me just look at Caro.Ito, alright? She starts with 4 strength, 5 dexterity, 6 perception, 7 charisma, and 5 knowledge. It's so bad. Because especially on Harbinger of Doom, you're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. Right? Like, it's really bad. So, Charisma high stat is terrible. Low strength is terrible. Her knowledge is bad, her dexterity is bad. She doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't have anything to necessarily leverage off of or use. And so we'll go to the, so, like, terrible stats aside, let's look at the perks that she ships with by default. And we'll look at the neutral perks after everybody. But, she has the, by default, she's got Predestined, and I'm just putting them on the board, so don't, she's got Predestined, Unrelenting, and then the 2 perks that we put in cannot currently rank. The reason why we cannot currently rank these perks is they don't work, okay? Premonition is you can see what stat the skill check is going to ask for. This crashes your game. So, in theory, the best perk in the game for a new player, because one of the biggest hurdles in this game is just having the knowledge of what events do what. This gives you the keys to the kingdom, it crashes your game. The stars are right, automatically pass all luck checks. It's immediately got some synergy with Premonition. It doesn't work. It doesn't pass any luck checks. Luck checks are still rolled like every other stat check. So the fact is that she has 2 perks, one of which actively crashes your game, and the save system in this game is terrible, so if it crashes your run, most likely your run is over, you lost the run. And then Stars Are Right, which literally does nothing. It's literally non-functional. So because of that, that's a problem, okay? So 2 of her perks are terrible. Then we've got Predestined and Unrelenting, which initially, I'm pretty sure I put both of those in okay, but I'm gonna hit you with the controversial thing here. I think both of these perks are absolutely bangers. Here's the thing, they are one use, it is true, but when you get one of these perks, even if you're full health, you will get +2 health, because it's, I'm pretty sure Unrelenting's the stamina one and Predestined's the reason one. It doesn't matter, they both do the same thing. One of them is +2 reason, +2 max reason. The other one is +2 stamina, +2 max stamina. These save so many runs, right? Like, I don't care about the max health. The max health is there so that you can always take them if you want them, as far as I'm considering. So, just, I'm going to assume that Predestined is the reason one, and I guess I could just toggle the text GDI and read that. Although, you know, it's a little small on my screen, so let me just look at my phone real quick. Where is it? Okay, so Predestined is the reason one. Alright, so I'm gonna put Predestined. We'll just leave this on the screen for now, why not? I'm gonna put Predestined in Super Triple S Ghost Rare, and I'm gonna put Unrelenting in Awesome. I think Daddy's Girl is probably better. The reason why Predestined is in Super Triple S Ghost Rare is that it's Reason. It's Reason Healing. Reason Healing is incredibly rare. And with this combination, essentially how it normally works is you take a perk, and then you take either a stat or a health upgrade. Now, a lot of the times in the harder difficulties, you're going to be wanting to take that health upgrade if you made a mistake or had a bad combat, right? Or you just rolled unlucky, right? Like, there's always the RNG. So it's like RNG, unlucky, or make a mistake, misplay. And so when you level up, especially in Harbinger of Doom, you're only going to get 2 for stamina or reason. However, when you see one of these perks, you can take that perk. A lot of the time when you're looking at perks, the perks are bad. Alright, like, there are so many times I'm looking at my level up and I'm like, oh my god, these perks are terrible, dude. These perks are awful. And so, when you see something like Predestined or Unrelenting, that's a perk that gives you value immediately, and it can even save your life, it can even save the run. And so, it enables you to, instead of taking a perk and a stat and healing, it lets you take a perk and a stat if you want to, if you need to take a stat, but you also need to heal, you can use Predestined and you can use Unrelenting to heal, and then you could also level up your stat, which is really useful for things like, let's say you already have folklore studies, right? You've already got that +1 knowledge, but you need to get 1 more point of knowledge, but you also need to heal. You see one of those, you take them, you get a point of knowledge. Or, let's say you're about to die. You see one of those, let's say you've got 2 stamina, right? You got 2 stamina, 18 million reason, because it doesn't matter. You got 2 stamina. You're staring down the barrel of a stamina cadaver. Ithutu's brought the sun out to play. It's Sunday morning. You cannot, like, you know, meditate or pray or whatever to regenerate stamina because you're not in combat. You level up, but you have a level up queued, right? You take Unrelenting, you take stamina, boom, +4 healing immediately. That's like getting a pain medication for 100 EXP, but without the downside. Or alternatively, you could also do experimental drug for 100 EXP without the downside. It's very nice. Highly good. I massively underrated both of these perks, and I think they're incredibly good. For sure. So, Hyanno has 2 really good perks. And these perks are good for when you're struggling in your run. The problem, though, is that Hyanno is always struggling in the run because her stats are terrible, and she doesn't have any sort of gimmick to leverage off of. Because her gimmick, which is Premonition and Stars Are Right, it doesn't work. So, you know, she's a broken character. You know, she doesn't work properly. It's a non-functional gimmick. Imagine if, like, Mazuki couldn't recruit allies, right? Or, like, Haru couldn't smonk cigarettes. It's terrible. Which is why she's in bad tier. She would be in, like, probably worse than, if all of her perks worked, she'd probably be behind Yashiro still. Like, she's still not a good character, even with her gimmick, but it's just a shame. She has a really cool concept, and I really like the idea of, like, a tarot, like, star reader in, like, an eldritch setting, but she's just not good enough to justify. So, we're gonna avoid the inevitable as long as possible, and we're just gonna rank the, we're gonna rank these perks right here. That said, with Eldritch Parasite, she has no functional perks. I can't believe you've done this to her. Nebula, how could you? That's devastating. Oh my god. There is a, like, I mean, we're not taking, like, a single backstory into account for the rankings. She's already worse than Haru. But, like, oh my god. That's brutal. Like, you didn't have to do her like that. You really didn't. Okay, so, let's go to the other perks right here. So, fresh meat is incredible. It's a very good perk. Essentially, at the end of every mystery, you get, usually, a long pig steak. However, and you know what? I'm gonna put this, I think this is so good that I'm gonna put it above Doomed already. Now, so basically what it is stamina exclusive, but what it does is that at the end of every mystery, you get either a long pig steak or a lump of flesh. And when I got this perk, and we got lump of flesh, I was hogging. Okay, lump of flesh is one of the best healing items in the game, and you can just get it randomly from this perk, and even if you don't, long pig steak is still good. So, and it doesn't, I don't think it stacks. I think it only gives you hunger the first time. It doesn't give you hunger the second time. So, fresh meat's absolutely goated, for sure. For sure. Being able to get consistently 2 stamina healing, which is banked, by the way. It's not like Daddy's Girl, where if you've got good stamina, you can't save it for later. It's like, no, you can save this for later. So, fresh meat, absolute banger. Sharpening Stone, +1 damage for sharp weapons. Probably gonna put this at the top of awesome. Sharp weapons, you know, that would include steak knife, meat cleaver, chainsaw, katana? I want to say katana. Yeah, katana for sure. +1 damage to sharp weapons is really good, right? Like, I think it would even make the meat cleaver good. You can't get meat cleaver Kyrie gaming, obviously, because Sharpening Stone is a custom perk only, but maybe someday the god will allow us to make custom perk packs and just pick a character and then pick a custom perk pack. Because meat cleaver Kyrie with Sharpening Stone would be hilarious. The Joey run. But yeah, no, like, I think that as far as, like, gimmick bonus damage perks go, it's probably the best. And actually, in hindsight, I'm not going to put this above Core Strength, because I just realized that Core Strength is sitting right there, and that doesn't make any sense. They should be together. But I was just getting excited about Chainsaw and Katana, so don't mind me. It's a great perk. It's a great perk for sure. Incredibly fun to use. Honestly, it might make the Steak Knife one of the best weapons in the game. Like, 4 damage Steak Knife is terrifying to think about. Okay, Survival Instinct. That's what I think it is, right? Pass all event skill checks when reason is lower than 3. Okay, Survival Instinct, I really like it. I think I definitely overrated it, though. But it basically, like, when I first saw this perk, I basically just called out exactly how the perk would play, right? Like, you need to be... Although I did misread it, it is true. I assumed that it would work with 3 reason, but it doesn't. It works with 2 and 1 reason. This perk is perfect for basically just dominating a run. Because when you're gonna get low health, right? Like, it's World of Horror, you're gonna get low health. But you're usually gonna have... If you're walking around at that low health, you're gonna have spells you can forget, you're gonna have experimental drug, right? You're gonna have something on you. Like, you're either gonna be dead, which, if you're dead, you're not taking Survival Instinct, or you're going to be having some sort of reason regeneration, and then you can just safely walk around with Survival Instinct at all times. And by the way, this perk does function, because, I mean, there was Premonition, which is a similar thing, because it works with it also is a perk that works with skill checks. Premonition crashes the game, Survival Instinct doesn't. Survival Instinct is an absolute banger, for sure. Winging it. Winging it makes... Now, admittedly, I actually did forgore this. I'm pretty sure it adds a +1 modifier to the dice. So if you had, like... If the area was safe, it would be +1. If the area was low, it would be +2. If the area was dangerous, it would be +3. I think winging it is also very good. I think winging it is a very good perk. The EXP that it gives you, well, I don't remember the exact numbers. In the runs that we used winging it, I was leveling up like crazy, right? Like, I feel like it's absolutely worth it, especially in combination with, oops, I actually switched over to the freaking, World of Horror wiki there, but, we'll tab back. But, I'm not gonna put it in Super Triple S Ghost Rare, because it's plus 5 EXP. That's incredible. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like, plus 5 EXP for every skill check that you do is amazing. It's incredible. However, it does indeed, like, how do I put it? Like, making skill checks harder is annoying. And so I'm probably gonna put it, like, it's good. Like, it's really good. It's 1 EXP. Yeah, I believe... I don't... It's more than 1 EXP for sure. Like, we were leveling up really fast with winging it. It would not... Like, we wouldn't have felt that difference with, Morbid Inspiration. I thought Morbid Inspiration was 2. Right? Like, I thought Morbid Inspiration was always 2. Like, that's what I was going off of when I was gonna rank Morbid Inspiration. Because I remember we had it, and I was like, it was either 1 or 2. Nope, it was only 1? Okay, fair. Morbid Inspiration is still, actually a usable perk, though, but we'll talk about that in a minute. After I unwrap my headphones from the whack-ass, armchair prison here. Morbid says 2, but it's actually 1. Okay, yeah, so that's a little bit annoying. But I do appreciate the clarification. I wish the game didn't lie. But the game does lie occasionally, as a treat, to do a little trolling. But, yeah, so for winging it, I don't really have anything to say other than 5 EXP per successful skill check is absolutely cracked. And, yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. I think I'm probably going to put it ahead of the damage perks, honestly. Like, I might amend core strength to be, like, at least the bottom of the best tier. Actually, no, yeah, I'll put core strength around here. I think that's fair. Because it is just a flat bonus 1 damage, but I do want to say that I value attack speed way more than damage, which is what I'm trying to emphasize with this tree right here. So, let's go to Morbid Inspiration next. That's next on the list of not neutral perks. So Morbid Inspiration is plus 1 EXP per reason damage. This is actually, I think it's fine. I think it's probably better than Signed Contract. That might be a little bit controversial, but you're going to take a lot of reason damage in this game. You're going to take a lot of reason damage. In fact, you know what's way better than as far as EXP perks go, it's way better than Stealth, for sure. You're gonna take a lot of reason damage in this game, and it works outside of combat, unless the game was lying to me again. I'm pretty sure it works outside of combat. So, it's very nice to just kind of see the... Like, it's very nice to see... Like, Morbid Inspiration is what Fast Learner should be. Like, yeah. Fast Learner should be like Morbid Inspiration, if it wanted to be a good perk. Morbid Inspiration is... Yeah, no, it'll give you a decent chunk of EXP throughout your playthrough. Is it worth 100? I don't know. Like, as far as, like, if you spent 100 EXP... Like, okay, like, let me put it like this. When you level up, perks are not the end-all be-all. The most important thing about a level up to me is the stat and the accuracy that you're getting. So I really like leveling up faster, even if you take a perk that's less optimal. Like, if the perk helps you level up faster, I think that's a good thing. It's definitely worse than deduction, but it definitely does help. And it does work in every scenario where you lose reason, and you're gonna lose reason a lot, so... Or where you take reason damage, I should specify. Because it's not going to give you EXP for equipping, like, Morbid Idol or whatever. Or Forbidden Idol, is that what it's called? The weird smiley thing? The C slot? But anyways, haunting dreams. Haunting dreams. Wait, I didn't get them confused, right? Haunting dreams is the daddy's girl but sanity. Yes, it is. So haunting dreams plus 2 reason at the end of every mystery. Very good. Absolutely goated. I like it a lot more than Daddy's Girl because you're going to take like I said previously with the previous perk, you're going to take a lot of reason damage. And I'm going to put it above Predestined for sure. And I just think that Haunting Dreams is, it's more useful than Daddy's Girl because it's going to have more of a use case for sure. I mean, obviously, if you have a build that already has reason regeneration, you don't need to, like, stack it. And you should probably focus on stamina regeneration, but, you know, we can't do perk builds yet, so, you know, it is what it is. Quick Shopper. Quick Shopper. I really like Quick Shopper a lot. It lowers Doom by 2 when you buy an item. So you go into the dog store for 4% Doom, you walk out, only 2% Doom has been risen. I think this is an awesome perk. And I'm gonna put it above my weird collection. I'm gonna put it above my weird collection, but I'm not gonna put it any higher than that. And the reason is, when are you gonna get this perk? You're gonna get this perk after you've already bought all your stuff. And so, what does this perk help you do? Well, it's sort of like in a similar tier to looting. Like, it helps you get consumable items that might stack up too much Doom to be comfortable. Right? So, it is reliant on you already having money. And so, it definitely is a very niche perk. But, when it works, it works. And I really do like Quick Shopper. This is bias, okay? This is bias for sure, but I think it's a good perk. Now, Big Spender. I do not know the exact... I do not know the exact chances of Big Spender to work, but it's a chance of refunding 1 fund after buying an item. I don't think this is very good, to an extent of the dream, which is like buying so many things. You can also buy stuff at the machines for minus Doom. Yes, that's true. If you buy something at the vending machine, you get minus 1 Doom because a vending machine is only 1% Doom to visit. However, I think that the problem with that is that when are you buying anything at the vending machine? Which is one of the reasons why... I mean, it's worth bringing up, and I should have brought it up, but I was thinking about, do I bring up vending machines specifically? And yeah, it is better to bring up because, for sure, if you're playing on a lower difficulty, 2 to 3 funds is a lot more reasonable than 3 to 4 funds. But I don't think you'd be doing... Like, the vending machine doesn't really have useful items that you can purchase, is the asterisk for what I was going to say there. But yeah, no, I think that Quick Spender is good. It's definitely not okay. It's better than okay, but it is a little bit more niche. Like, looting is universally useful, but I would probably say that Quick Shopper is around the same as my weird collection, where it's like, it's good enough to not be okay, but it's niche enough to not climb the ranks. Like, Hot Bath is the gatekeeper of the niche sort of, like, perks that don't give an objective benefit. Right? Like, a Hot Bath is the gatekeeper. That's what I'll say to that. And did I actually take all of the pictures? If I forgot to take some of the pictures, we'll just supplement with the meme perks. I mean, I know I forgot to take pictures of Ayaka and Toshiyaki's perks, but that's besides the point. Okay, no, I'm pretty sure we got them all down. I just, like, kind of got out of whack because we did Premonition and Stars Are Right really early. So, what will I do to cover for Ayaka's perk being for not having photos of Ayaka's perks and Toshiyaki's Necronomicon? Do we probably just take some photos? We'll probably just go into the game and take some screenshots really quick, and then I'll import them behind an Emmerdale. But let's go back to the character tier list. Well, no, we probably shouldn't, because we don't have any, we'll do the neutral perks, why not? Art Knowledge it's okay. I think it's probably better than Stealth, and everything behind Stealth. but not a big fan. Not a big fan. It's pretty useful if you're going to the school a lot, and I definitely like art knowledge more than I normally did, or used to, I should say. It helps you dodge a cadaver in the school. That's really nice. I don't really care about the positive effect, but it helps you dodge damage, which is, like, the most positive effect you could probably have. +1 perception is not very useful, though. I pretty much exclusively take it either for Moriko, for bonus damage. I suppose I could take it on Haru as well, with semi-auto. But take it on a gun character, or take it if you have, like, a mystery or two in the school. Honestly, I would take it if you have a mystery in the school and you haven't done it yet. Folklore Studies, absolute banger of a perk. I love getting it. The blue option is incredibly niche because it's a village blue option. I do think it breaches the hot bath gatekeeping because +1 knowledge is just really nice. Like, I think knowledge is probably the second best perk in the, or second best stat in the game. And here's the thing, like, I don't really care about the blue option for Folklore Studies. It almost never comes up. I just like the knowledge. I think the +1 knowledge is very good for things like Small Candle, Heavy Bonk, Ritual Dagger, Scalpel even. If you were using those, I think it's good. That plus, or that -3 time units required is really nice. As far as leadership goes, I think leadership is terrible. It's not... I think I would probably put it... I mean, you know what? I would say leadership is probably the most usable out of the craft tier. Mainly because it's... You know what you're getting. You're not going to be surprised with something like Parting Gift. If you need charisma, if you need 1 point of charisma for the Lighthouse, you're going to take Parting Gift, or you're going to take leadership. You're going to take leadership. It's more consistent, and I value that out of bad perks than, like, a usable consistency. Even if the use case is so incredibly niche and not very useful, it can save you 3 reasons sometimes. No blue options for leadership. If you wanted to buff leadership, you would give it like a blue option or 2 in the next update, and then it would be much better. Like, literally the only reason why it's so bad is that it has no blue options whatsoever. Quick Thinking. I like Quick Thinking a lot. I don't think it's better than Sent You Ayaka's Images. Yo, thank you. That actually helps out a lot. Thank you so much. I just raised my leg to try to put it up on the chair, and we just crashed into the freaking desk. But yes, thank you, Nebula. I'll and Toshi TYTY. I'll get the Emmerdale up, and we'll get those images uploaded here in a second. But yes, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Nebula. For Outdoorsman, which is always cursed. Have they fixed Outdoorsman yet? Where after you get the perk, you can click on it and then you can see the perk card? Because, like, when I took this photo in the previous update, when you got Outdoorsman and you clicked on it, nothing popped up. Like, there was no perk card. Like, there was a perk card in the past, but when I took the pictures of the tier list, it was gone. Yeeted into the abyss. I think Outdoorsman is okay. I think it's definitely better than, like... It's probably better than Stealth. But Outdoorsman is +1 luck, and it lets you unlock Moriko as well, if you've seen the TV. The thing holding Outdoorsman back is that you need to watch the TV beforehand in order to get the blue option unlocked to see Moriko and recruit her. It's also +10 EXP. Is it +10 EXP? I'm pretty sure it is. But most importantly, it helps you dodge a guaranteed reason cadaver in the forest that pretty much appears like every freaking run. Like, I think in the past, like, 20 runs I've done, I would say, like, at least 15 of them had the freaking Moriko Bloody Sweater. So Outdoorsman definitely has some use case. The next use case scenario for Outdoorsman, and this is a little sketchy. However, in the hospital, there's an event where when you're in the elevator, you can get a luck check, and that luck check seems to actually be a threshold check. And I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8, but you start with 6. And so it seems to be a threshold check, because it seems like when you have 6 luck, it always fails. But when you have more than that, it always succeeds. So I feel like And again, this is just conspiracy. This is sketchy conspiracy theory right now, okay? I like Outdoorsman because of that. Like, that moved Outdoorsman up in my mind. Just by that being a weird thing in the game. Because that's like -2 or 3 reason in that elevator, so you really want to dodge that if you can. And so Outdoorsman in that scenario would be saving you about 5 reason. So if you get those 2 events in your run, which you'll probably get one of them at least. The +1 luck itself, I don't really care, but I do like luck checks. I'm liking luck checks more and more. Because we had a run a while back where I had the C slot item that gives you +2 luck. That was really fun. Okay, we're gonna Emmerdale real quick, and I'm not gonna leave or anything like that. I'm just gonna put that up. And then I'm gonna go to Discord. And I'm gonna get the images that Nebula sent, and we're gonna put them in the tier list. And then we're gonna talk about Ayaka, and then we're gonna talk about... Okay, save image. We're gonna talk about Ayaka, and we're gonna talk about Toshiaki. It's very weird that in order to save the image, you have to like right-click it, or you have to left-click it and then you have to right-click it, because you have to bring the image up and then you have to save. And then for some reason, it's not remembering the folder. That's very weird. But that's just a Windows thing. That's not really a Discord thing. Oh yeah, Aiko only has 3 perks. Sheb's Surge, Crudy's Kill. And then we'll grab Cure. It's really weird that, like, the Necronomicon just has so many pages. And we'll leave the scuffed Outdoorsman as it is now, because it's just, it's iconic at this point, the Oarsman. And also the fact that Tier Maker doesn't let you replace photos or delete them, which is why we still have the old with the old pre-release like meme perks that were just like blank that I made. Okay. I'll probably have to make another one of these at some point with just like the updated. Is that all of them? I believe it is. And then I can just submit it. And then I can go back to the okay, so the Toshi ones kind of came out cursed, but that's fine because we can still we can still see the names. That's what matters. Right? Like we can still see the names. So that's the important part. Thank you again, Nebula. I appreciate it. I before the stream started, I was like, okay, I gotta go into the files, and I gotta edit Hyanno's perk packs, and I gotta edit Chie's perk packs, and then I gotta take individual screenshots. I gotta go on Ill-Fated, and then I gotta go to the History Club a bunch of times so that I can get all their perks. So I do appreciate it, thank you. Because I got stun locked by the custom character perks, which are infinitely less important than the main event. Alright, we're back. Okay, so we'll start with Doom Effigy. Cannot currently rank. It's the easiest cannot currently rank of my life. It literally does nothing. I remember when the update first came out, we were all trying to figure out how Doom Effigy worked, and we were thinking, oh, you know, it does say bonus reduction, right? And the bonus is only on lower difficulties, and then we tried it on lower difficulties and it still didn't work. Doom Effigy, for all intents and purposes, is like, it doesn't crash your game, it just doesn't do anything. And so I can't really talk about it. It's supposed to give you Doom reduction at the end of every mystery, but, you know, it is what it is. But let's go back to the characters, and we'll talk about the two most powerful and overtuned characters in World of Horror, because why not? So starting with Ayaka. Ayaka is blatantly one of the most overpowered characters in the game. In fact, I would say pretty confidently she is probably the most... Hold on, let me just drag this down a little. Wait, that's not... I'm not dragging that, I'm dragging the Emmerdale. If it worked, it would probably be busted. True, I mean, like, using every single, if you're using, like, if you're taking Ayaka's other two perks, they're completely busted. Placebo Effigy, true. Funny that Ayaka is what Hyanno could have been if she had decent stats. I wasn't expecting that comparison, but I can kind of see where you're going with that. So Ayaka is a character who, she starts off, like, admittedly, not very good. However, and I mean, she has an item that at the start of every mystery she gets 2 curses. The trade-off is that she can get rid of one of them. This, as a downside, is actually not that bad. Because if you think about it, like, how many curses are in the game? I don't know how many curses in total there are in the game. That's not a bit of trivia that I know off the top of my head. However, what I will say is how many of them are bad. Like, Insomnia, Panic, Branded, Survivor's Guilt, at least for me. Like, I know some people are gonna prioritize different things, like, you know, Holes is really bad, you know. But for me, I just think of, like, the Doom ones, Insomnia, and the other one that I just mentioned, right? Like, Insomnia, Panic, that's the one. I think that Insomnia and Panic are the 2 worst curses in the game. Brain Damage. So, yeah, that's a bad curse. That's a really bad curse. However, for Ayaka's purposes... which ones would you actually want to get rid of, right? Like, you would want to get rid of Insomnia, and probably, like, Panic. And some of the Doom ones as well, right? Like, you could probably get rid of Branded or Survivor's Guilt. Because when you get where is it? When you get Eldritch Possession online, to the shock of no one, Eldritch Possession is like currently the highest ranking perk in the game. Well, we haven't gone to Blood Mania yet, but you know what we have currently on the tier list. When you get cursed, Eldritch Possession gives you more stats, and I don't know the exact ratio between curse to stats, but the ratio is a small amount of curses for a fuck ton of stats, okay? And so, if you get brain damage, you're gonna get way more, like, knowledge just from Eldritch Possession existing. So, it's not even, like, hunger and brain damage and the... I would say paranoia, but it doesn't do that anymore. Like, anything that lowers your stats isn't really a big deal, because Eldritch Possession will just outperform them, like, multiple times over. And yeah, you can get rid of brain damage for free. So that might lower all of your other stats, depending on if you're at that, like, threshold or not, but you're getting +2 knowledge, right? So, like, Ayaka is so ridiculously busted with her stat game, with the fact that she gets 2 curses every mystery. You can get 3 curses from the Witch's Tree, and there are events where you can opt into getting cursed. And a lot of the time, a lot of the curses aren't a big a deal, right? Like, oh boy, cursed signs, wow, I'm so scared. So, Eldritch Possession is one of the most broken perks in the game. It takes care of the lighthouse for you, and it's just completely, utterly busted. Like, you can go through the game, and you'll have, like, 9+ in your stats, right? Like, it's completely broken. You'll probably have more than that, depending on if you get lucky with curses, and you don't get, like, a lot of things that you'd want to get rid of. Like, the only things I would really get rid of on Ayaka is, Insomnia, because Insomnia is just incredibly bad, and then, like, probably, like, Branded and Survivor's Guilt. Like, that's probably the 3 perks I'd get rid of. Because what Funky Fresh said is that Panic isn't even that big of a deal, considering that she can just attack 8 times a turn, because of the other perk that we're going to talk about in a minute. What would you suggest if you had to balance it? I don't think Ayaka needs to be balanced. Like, I think that there's always going to be that one roguelite character who just trivializes the game, right? Right, who's just completely broken, who, you get home after, like, a day of work or something, or if you work from home, you just, stop working from home because you're off or whatever, but, like, Ayaka is the character who you boot up the game to just rip and tear through, right? Like, you boot up the game and play as Ayaka if you just want to annihilate everything in your path. And so, like, I don't think it needs to be balanced, right? Like, I think that the only change that Ayaka needs is for Doom Effigy to work. Right, like, that's it. Like, I think Ayaka's in a perfectly fine place. I think it's completely okay to have characters who could kill God with their bare hands if they wanted to. So speaking of killing God with your bare hands, the best perk in the game is Blood Mania. It is, I don't know the exact ratio between curses and bonus attack speed and damage, but when you get this, you can basically just attack 8 times, and you can probably attack 6 times and brace for impact when you have both Blood Mania and Eldritch Possession. The Gunslinger of Gungeon. I'm also trying to think of, like, that one Binding of Isaac character who starts with the giant laser beam that's, like, really short range, but they, like, upgrade really well. Ayaka is the character you play when you want to stomp. The only worry is managing Doom, and if Effigy worked, then it would be completely trivial. Exactly, yeah. I think that Ayaka is the character who... Zeal, thank you. Probably not saying that right, but, yeah, like, there are characters in roguelites that just stomp. And so, like, Ayaka is that character for World of Horror. And she is, like, one of the coolest characters in the game by far. Like, she's dope as hell. And yeah, so Blood Mania, I don't really know the exact ratio. It's some curses that will probably not have any effect on your run whatsoever for massacring, like, beating a god to death with your bare hands. And God can't help that god if she's got a weapon, like any weapon, like God help you, like not even God could help you, or the Elder Gods would be screwed if they went up against freaking Ayaka with a monkey wrench, a chainsaw, a katana, or that who shall not be named. Although the chainsaw is objectively better, you could probably get like 8 strong attacks with a chainsaw. That would be terrifying. Just see an Ayaka run that goes well, and you will understand that Ayaka trivializes the game. And most Ayaka runs do go well. You don't even need to fish for these things in, like, the History Club. But you can fish for one of them. Is Shovel good with Ayaka? Ooh. That... I don't know. I would assume so, if you have enough curses. But, like, I would think that... Like, here's the thing. The game doesn't scale very... Due to how the game scales, and I haven't read the math guide in a while, but weapons that have like 100 time units to attack scale poorly. So the faster, like, it's just something how the game calculates it. So I think that you could, I mean, yeah, you could use the shovel for sure, but I think that, like, you shouldn't. You should just use, like, literally anything that doesn't have 100 or 90 time units, and then you just stomp your way through the game. Imagine if winning with Ayaka triggered a boss fight against the Onyx Amulet, which was stronger based on your curse. I feel like she's trading one old god for another. I think that, I mean, Ayaka having some, like, secret ending where she fights God would be amazing. But, yeah, no, that actually would be pretty cool. Where it's like the more curses you have, the harder the end game is. I think that's a really good idea. If you wanted to, I would make it like a challenge run sort of thing, because I still stand by the idea of needing a character who can just steamroll a game. Even if the game's aesthetic doesn't really work with that, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, that would be cool. Like an Ayaka challenge run where she fights, imagine unique final bosses for every character. One can only dream. Alright, so let's move on to the second best character in the game. Because, I mean, I think we can all agree that Ayaka's better than Toshiaki, but Toshiaki is also just... I've been thinking about this a lot, okay? Ayaka and Toshiaki are characters who have... each character has their own gimmick. Their gimmick is overtuned and completely busted, which makes them a ridiculously powerful character compared to literally everyone else. And so that basically makes every character worse by comparison, right? Because Moriko hasn't, well, on Harbinger of Doom, all characters get worse, but the Harbinger of Doom stat nerf was introduced with Ayaka and Toshiaki, so it doesn't really, it's not like Moriko got worse, it's not like Miku got worse, it's not like Aiko got worse, right? The characters, the existing cast did not get worse. It's just that the new content, it's a very simple concept that plagues a lot of games, and it's not necessarily a problem in a single-player roguelite like this, where you can mod the game to your preference, but, you know, it happens a lot in multiplayer games, is power creep, right? Like, when the game starts, the characters are relatively simple, and they have defined roles on what they do. You have the characters who are kind of like, you know, they're average, but they offer a grounded play style. You have the characters who are easier to use for new players. You have the characters who mix things up for veteran players. And you have the gimmick character, right? But everything is rather grounded in the game's core systems. And then as the game goes on, as the game gets more intricate, as people want new and new things, you start getting characters who can do maybe weird builds that you haven't seen before, like gun builds. Or you have characters who can do, where's Yashiro? There he is. You have characters who have a more intricate gimmick that, because it's the first time the developer tried this sort of like gimmick character who relies upon their gimmick to succeed, and it's not something you can ignore, then that character becomes a little bit worse, right? That character is worse than the other characters because they're just the developer's still figuring out how to balance gimmick characters. And then you get to the point where we're at right now in the development cycle, where we get new characters who are, their gimmicks are well thought out, they are well implemented, asterisk, because the Eldritch Amulet can break, not the Eldritch Amulet, sorry, the Onyx Medallion. The Onyx Medallion can break with custom mysteries, I believe. Because it happened to us once where the Onyx Medallion stopped working, and Doom Effigy obviously is non-functional. But with those two asterisks out of the way, you have gimmicks that are incredibly well thought out, and you have gimmicks that are incredibly intricate and have a lot of decision-making and choices and gameplay variety behind them. Toshiaki is probably one of my, like, favorite examples of this. I love Toshiaki as a character. I think Toshiaki is probably the best designed character in the game. But, like, I definitely want to play him more. But when you get into it, like, by these two characters existing, they are so detailed and complicated that every other character is worse in comparison, because every other character is simple. And so, by those two existing, it makes Moriko and Aiko not the best characters in the game anymore. It makes, right, like, it just by them existing, right? They are so overtuned that the previous best characters can't hold a candle to them anymore. You see it a lot in gacha games, where they want you to wail for the new characters that come out, and so they make the new characters more powerful than the old characters. But it's also just a normal thing in game design. You see it in every game. So, like, you see it in most games, I should say. You don't see it in every game. There are some cases in, like, Final Fantasy XIV where jobs get simpler over time as compared to more complicated. But yeah, let's talk about Toshiaki specifically. And by that, I mean I'm going to look at chat for a second because I missed a few posts. Final Bosses update coming in 2050. Oh, come on, Toasty Toes. You don't have to do them like that. Oh, you don't have to do them like that. When the lighthouse is completely modular and customizable, we'll have people who make final bosses for every character. And you could have, like, imagine, like, pack customization, and you can, like, create your own, like, event packs that have events that you like, and, like, modded events. That'd be so cool. And you could have, like, a lighthouse card pack, and you could make your own final lighthouse. Oh my god, that'd be great. Haru technically has that already. Final boss. Oh yeah, the enemy. Yeah, no, that's a really cool thing. I wish more characters had, like, that special enemy that was, like, pursuing them. Like, I would love if Moriko could fight, like, a Wendigo. I could make Until Dawn memes. Not only does Ayaka turn a detriment into an upside, she does it in a way where a rarer commodity, stats, and consistent damage become trivially common. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, honestly. It's a fantastic way of putting it. Like, just by Ayaka, like, Ayaka turns a detriment that can sometimes lose you the game into a benefit, an upside, something that you want, and she uses that and that upside is literally some of the best stuff in the game. Like, the only thing that Ayaka doesn't have is healing, right? Like, she doesn't have, like, a perk that's, like, at the end of every mystery, gain 1313. Minus 50 doom reduction overall is so powerful? Yeah, no, it is. Like, it's completely broken. I just want Takashi-san to be different depending on the old god. That would be super cool. That would be dope, right? That would be really cool. Like, if he had different forms. Like, I think somebody did, like a concept of that before. I love Toshiaki's character and playstyle. However, I feel that Toshiaki has way too much time on his hands for someone on the run from the cult. I love how, like, isn't it implied that he stole the Necronomicon from the History Club? And yet he can go back to the History Club to get pages of the Necronomicon and they're totally cool with it? Like, when I unlocked Toshiaki, I was expecting to walk into the History Club and get instantly killed. But we'll talk about Toshiaki real quick in a little bit more detail, and then we'll end the stream. Because it's been, how long has it been? It's almost been 3 hours. It looks like my prediction was correct. I wish Takashi was more present as a threat in the game as a whole, seeing as he's literally the final boss and just a random man. I agree. There is a theory, though, that he's the guy in Fear Festival who shoots the occultist, like the aunt. Like, he's the guy who shoots her and stops the ritual in ending A, because they have, like, a similar suit, and they have, like, a similar icon on their clothing, and also, like, a similar build and all that, but, my headcanon is that Toshi was dating the History Club president. Oh, he's pulling off the greatest heist of all time. Is Takashi Jara Bloodman? Oh, that's the deep lore that I don't think Panstash wants you to know. But alright, let's talk. I'm gonna talk about Toshiaki real quick. I don't think it's gonna take specifically very long, because, well, Toshiaki on the surface is bad stats, man. He's got terrible stats. It's true. He can be killed by frostbite on Harbinger of Doom. A couple of hungers scares him. However, he makes up for it by having the most overpowered item in the game, the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is incredibly powerful. By just existing, Toshiaki gets minus 50% Doom, which is incredibly powerful. It means that he's one of the few characters who can use the History Club properly, because, well, you know, it's 10% to get a perk. You get minus 50% throughout your entire run. It also means the fact that his terrible stats, you're gonna fail a lot of skill checks, but you get minus 50% Doom your whole playthrough. So, like, you can just rest. It's not a big deal, right? Like, a lot of this game is risk versus reward, where you have to decide on whether or not you want to spend the resources required, and it all eventually comes back to Doom, right? Like, if you want to heal, you're usually spending Doom. If you want to buy stuff, you're spending Doom. And Toshiaki just has more Doom than everyone else. And so, that's basically just how it works. You get into a situation where you have so much Doom to play around with, even on Harbinger of Doom. And that's incredibly powerful, it's incredibly strong. And that's not to mention, now I don't think we have the passive here, because that's a passive, right? It's not a perk that you unlock. But the passive that he has, which is the page of the Necronomicon that he has by default, is minus 10% Doom at the end of every mystery. That's really good. And if we ever get, like, that 6th mystery or whatever that some people wanted, then that would be 60% Doom on, like, the hardest difficulty or whatever. But, like, just absolutely cracked, right? So, now, we can't really... We're gonna just go in the order that the thing uploaded them in. Sheeb's Surge, or Sheby's Surge. I'm not saying it correctly. This is... It says cost 5 Doom. It's lying to you. We'll put it around... We'll put it above Unrelenting for sure. So, Sheb's Surge is you increase all of your stats by 1 until the end of the mystery, and it allegedly costs 5% Doom. But this is a lie. This is the game lying to you. Sheb's Surge actually costs 3% Doom, which is much more reasonable. So you can use this you can cast it a couple of times at the start of the mystery. You can use it to clear the lighthouse rather easily. It's not a big deal. It's very good because it only takes 3%. So it's 3% Doom for a temporary +1 to all stats. It's, as Tibby just said in chat, it's a free lighthouse win. If you got low Doom, you're playing Toshiaki, you'll most likely have low Doom as well, unless something goes horribly wrong in your run. But, yeah, no, it's just all around good. If you're going into, a boss fight that you know is going to be nasty, at the start of the run, you can just cast Sheeb's Surge a couple of times, or the start of the mystery, I should say. Like, if you're going into Crimson Cape, if you're going into Wordless Ward, if you're going into, you know, the thing. If you're going to go into an area where a lot of combat is going to happen, or, like, a longer mystery, or you're going into a boss fight, casting Sheeb's Surge a couple of times will really help out. It'll lower the amount of damage you take throughout the mystery itself, just because of, like, how you'll have better stats, so you'll fail less skill checks, hopefully. And also, it'll just make your combat better, and it'll make your Brace for Impact better as well. I can't complain about it. It's one of my lesser used ones, because the other pages are just so ridiculous, but it's still really good. So, Crudy's Kill. 15% Doom. This one doesn't lie, but we're putting it in Triple S Ghost Rare. And we'll put it probably around, I think it's better than Core Strength. I mean, obviously it's very difficult to compare instantly kill enemy for 15 Doom versus +1 damage. But, yeah, Crudy's Kill. It instantly kills any enemy in the game for 15 Doom. This lets you do things that are hilarious, like you can kill the Nameless Horror, which is a boss that has 100 health and you can't target directly. It lets you kill Oteru. I've never tried it, but you could presumably kill something truly evil as well. And I believe that it's killing something truly evil. I don't know if killing something truly evil gives you, like, minus Doom, but I'm pretty sure that, like, surviving something truly evil gives you minus Doom. Crudy's Yeet, you're goddamn right. Thank you for reminding me. I must have been temporarily dazed and confused. Thank you for setting me on the right path. Crudy's Yeet. It's incredible, right? Like here's the thing: you're not gonna use it on every enemy that you come across because it's 15 Doom, right? You got minus 50 per playthrough. That's a lot of your minus Doom, all right? But here's the thing: if you come across an enemy that's really nasty, yeah, that's you can just snap your fingers and it's dead. You can kill bosses for fun. It doesn't really matter. You can kill Akamanto instantly. Sure, you'll still take minus 5 stamina damage, but who cares? But you'll get that mask that gives you minus 10% Doom, so that's cool. Like, the one downside that Toshiaki has is literally just, the Necronomicon takes an inventory slot, which doesn't matter. It literally just does not matter. Even, like, let's say you take the brick, infinite glitch, well, bricks aren't the only way to do it, but let's say you take the infinite inventory glitch away, still doesn't matter. 3 inventory slots is more than enough. But yeah, Crudy's Kill, Crudy's Yeet, absolutely incredible. It costs a lot of Doom to use, but it's universal, right? Like, it's not like Thread of Fate, where it only works on human enemies, and it's not like, what is it, the one that doesn't work on Eldritch. It works on everything. It's very good. The cost is negligible in in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, no, it's just good. Now, this is the Cure of Catherizo, I believe. This is incredible. This is a great one. It's 7% Doom for +3/+3, which doesn't sound that good, because you get +2/+2 for 3, but you have to, at your house. But here's the thing that you gotta realize. This is on demand at any time, and you have that minus 50% Doom buffer before you're even tapping in to your normal playthrough Doom. And now, of course, it's spread over the course of 5 mysteries, so you can't just, like, spend a million Doom Mystery 1 and be like, oh, you know, we're all good. You still have to space them out a bit, but the Cure is, it's an on-demand heal at any time. That's really good. 7% Doom, normally on any other character, wouldn't be worth it. But with the baseline of minus 50% Doom over the course of your playthrough, it's workable, it's castable. You can actually pay that price and be relatively happy with it. We'll get to this as the last one. I'll do Rage first. So Rage, I'm gonna put Rage probably below Sheep's Surge. I think the problem that I have with Rage of Ragzul is that the time I clicked it 400 times in a row, it didn't work. It only gave me, like, +1 damage or whatever. I think that, comparatively speaking, I wouldn't want to pair it up with anything else. Like, you could Sheev Surge once, and then Rage once, and then +1 to all stats, +1 damage. That could work for sure, but I just don't find myself taking it very often. I don't think it's necessary. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But if I'm in a combat where I'm like, oh man, I really wish I had that +1 damage, I think you can justify a Crudy's Yeet. But no, it's good, don't get me wrong. 6% Doom for temporary +1 damage is very nice. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the game. The Thoth Flash. Costs 15 EXP, lowers Doom by Redacted, because you can't, I think it's 3, but let me just look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure it's 3. I'm confident to say 3, but, you know, Toshiaki is, like, still a new character. So I'm gonna try to be as correct as possible. Yeah, lowers Doom by 3, costs 15 EXP. So, here's the thing. The Monument is -3 for an exponentially growing payment, right? Starts out with 1 stamina, 1 reason, 1 fund, can quickly go to -4, -5, and that's really bad. For Thoth Flash, being a consistent and powerful and abusable -3 Doom on demand. It's incredible. The only thing bad about Fathoth Flash is that my man Toshiaki has so many perks compared to every other character, it might be difficult to find it sometimes. But if you get Fathoth Flash, you're basically set for life. Like, it's an incredible thing. Now, of course, you don't want to take it first. You need to take something like Crudy's Kill, or, you know, something like, you want to take Crudy or Sheebs or Cure first, but as a second or third page in the Necronomicon, Fathoth Flash just wins you the game. It's so incredibly powerful, because it directly mitigates the one downside that you have to using the Necronomicon, which is Doom. And Reverse Apollo just brought up something very important. It doesn't work on exactly 15 EXP. That's correct. And there have been some specific instances where that's been a little bit sketchy. But most of the time, every time you investigate, there's a random... Well, I shouldn't say most of the time. Every time you investigate, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to get at least 1 EXP. So, that's very nice. And as Tibby just stated, Sheeb Surge and Flash have incredible synergy. Because every time you cast Fathoth Flash, you can cast Sheeb Surge, because instead of 5% Doom, it's 3. And by the way, everything else is accurately labeled. 7 for Cure, 15 for the Yeet, 6 for Rage. But, yeah, no, there's just so much synergy here. There's just so much player expression on how you use the Necronomicon. Everything is viable. The worst thing that he's got is +1 damage. You can't complain about that. And so, we've almost made it to 3 hours. I'm dying. I don't know how I'm going to record the World of Horror episode tonight. Probably give myself a break. But, yeah. This is it. This is the tier list. Ignore all of these. These are just the old meme perks. Toshiaki is Chef's Kiss amazing. You are gosh darn right. It's true. Toshiaki is easily the second best character in the game. With the compass, it's even better. True. The compass is an incredible item. Sounds like a good night for some brain-empty OP character spam. Probably gonna play some Aiko or some Toshi after this, it's true. But, yeah. Toshiaki is best boy. No, I like Koichi more. I like Koichi more. From a character perspective. You can, we can duel gladiatorially if you would like to defend your husbando. But, yeah, no, I just think that, it's really, I think this is probably, I mean, obviously this isn't the definitive perk list, this is just my opinion. I know that some people on the Discord value Kyrie a lot higher than I do. One day Haru will be vindicated. I hope Haru gets a buff. Like, Haru needs more buffs. Or maybe just give Haru an old coin, right? Like, on one of his events, just make it to where he gets the old coin. What if he killed the demon thing? The vampire. He got the old coin for free. Or because he's not... That would be, there really are only 4 boys. It's true. It's true, there's only 4 boys. There's only 4 lads. And Koichi's the best one. But, yeah, there should be more lads in World of Horror for certain. But, yeah, no, I think this is a pretty good tier list. Reward for White Death would be cool. Yeah, yeah. I keep forgetting that's what it's called. But you could probably just get, like, the thing to instantly kill vampires. I will pay money for more dudes. I mean, you could probably get, like, an art commission. And, or you could just download, you could just download Orcien's mods. Koichi is the lowest tier, boy! What the heck? Oh my god. That's slander. Literally a 2-to-1 ratio. Wait, you are correct. An achievement for defeating White Death would be nice. Like, yeah, the game needs more achievements, the game needs more content, obviously. But I would say that, like, you know, everybody wants more content, but I would prefer if the next update, or when we get to 1.0, whichever one, there needs to be an update that's just bug fixes. Right? Like, I don't want a new character. I don't want, like, a new gimmick. I don't want a new timeline or anything like that. I want the bugs to be fixed. That's what I want. And obviously, like, new characters and new updates are what draw people to the game. But, I don't know. I like the, I want there to be a bug fixing update. I would really appreciate that. Koichi is Tutorial Boy? I don't know why he is Tutorial Boy. I don't know why School Scissors is the tutorial. That's so bizarre to me. I'm not touching the Yashiro dad discourse with a 10-foot pole. Koichi is just kind of a dude. Unexceptional. How dare you do my boy like this? He's just vibing. Now people are gonna say his placement in the tier list is Koichi bias. School Scissors that the tutorial is hilarious because it teaches you nothing. Yeah, the tutorial in the game is terrible, right? Like, have you ever started up a new run and then it's like, if this is your first time playing, click here, and you click there and it's like, this is an explanation on the stats, and you click strength and it's like, STR is the strength stat, KNW is the knowledge stat. Right? Like, it's bad. It needs some work for sure, but that's not really like a, it's not really a big, like, update, you know? I'm trying to think of a non-weird word to use here, but like when you update the game, you want to have like the thing that you show everyone. And you're like, guys, play the new update for World of Horror. It has bricks, but this time they have the bricks are made out of steel instead of concrete and you know, clay or whatever bricks are. I played Minecraft. They're made out of clay in the oven. But, like, I'm just thinking about it. It's like, you need to have some big thing, right? Like, you need to have, like, an Aiko or a Toshiaki. You need to have, like, this guy has the Necronomicon in your update. So, like, I think that, like, every update you want, like, Toshiaki, bad stats man, he has the semi-auto and the Necronomicon. I have no idea why Toshiaki has the semi-auto in the production images and like the teaser images. Why? How he has the semi-auto? I have no idea. Eels should be the tutorial. -1 damage from the start. Absolutely. Like a lot of the mysteries, like School Scissors is like the only mystery that plays that way, right? Like I guess like School Scissors and Vigil. Like I'm trying to think of mysteries where. But even then, Vigil plays differently. Because School Scissors, you have a bunch of things to interact with, but you're only investigating the school. So Vigil, you're going to different areas. There's like no mystery in the game like School Scissors. So why would that be the first one? Right? Like most mysteries are like eerie episode of Evolving Eels. Right? Like I don't understand why School Scissors is the tutorial. And what's even weirder is that the School Scissors tutorial seems to be an older version of the game. Or, at least, a different version of the game. Because the wooden bat has a different stat sheet than what it does in the main game. I'd say that ARMS would be the best starting mystery for a tutorial. Like, ARMS is... I can agree with that to an extent. I think Eels would be better because Kana and it would teach people about allies immediately. But ARMS is fine as long as ARMS would be fine as a words. I've been speaking for 3 hours. ARMS would be fine as a tutorial if it was timeline A. If it was timeline B, no. But at timeline A, yeah, no, that'd be a good tutorial as well. But actually, you know what? Maybe Eels would be a bad tutorial because people might not notice Kana, and so they might just they might be confused on why enemies do more damage. Personally, I think Bulletin or Mermaids would be good because they give you so many options. You know what? That's true as well. Right, like Bulletin teaching you about side quests, Mermaids could teach you about alternate endings. I think both of those could be good as well, and they end with, and they both potentially end with boss fights. I would lean more towards Mermaids because I think that boss fight's more reasonable than putting up like a computer screen in front of a player and saying, "Hey, do you want to join us?" And it's like, "Remember the note, remember the note." But you know, it is what it is. I think that, I mean, here's the thing. I think that we can all agree that, like, any mystery that isn't School Scissors, Fear Festival, Vigil, Ward, would be better. Like, any mystery that locks you out of the town is a terrible starter mystery, right? Like, one of my favorite things to do is I'll watch the World of Horror Twitch category, right? And when somebody's playing the game, I'll tune into their Twitch chat, and the funniest thing, and it's actually kind of sad, is they'll do the tutorial, and then they'll do the stock standard Aiko run, and they will be so confused, because they're like, where did all of this UI come from? Right, like I was watching, a VTuber the other day, and they were, I think it was they, them, but I could be wrong. They were playing the game, and they started with the tutorial, and, I mean, first of all, the School Scissors tutorial is bad. Like, that's just, it's just bad to begin with. And then they went on to do the Aiko run, and what ended up happening was they just didn't know what was happening. They didn't know how any of the stats worked, because when they did the tutorial to see, like, click here to see more about what strength is, and it's just like, strength is, STR is strength, and that's literally it. It's like, there's not any, like, it's not a showcase item, but I would really love an update that kind of goes back and looks at content that exists in the game, updates it, fixes the bugs. That would be my favorite update. That I would love that update so much. But you do need, like, it's unfortunate that sort of like, as far as like making the game successful goes, every update has to have that like beautiful showcase item where, look at this cool pixelated horror game where you can now play this dude with a gun and a Necronomicon, right? Like, you need something like that to draw people in. And so that's like my dream update of bug fixes and a good tutorial is probably never gonna happen. Like, it will always be bundled with some big ticket item, which is unfortunate, but it's most likely what's gonna happen. Now, I do need to end this stream because the eyebrow threshold is encroaching. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll give you a final tally, and then we'll call it. So, in the top tier of characters, we've got Ayaka and Toshiaki, probably surprise to no one. In the high tier, we have Moriko, Aiko, Koichi. I think Koichi is probably going to be a controversial pick here. I put him there specifically for good stats, fun perks, and basically just good stats, really. Okay/balanced, probably Mimi's the best out of the bunch. Miku second place, I would say. Because she and Mizuki both have terrible early games, but I think she gets by slightly better because she's got healing built into her kit. I like Mizuki a lot, but she definitely fell off. Kyrie is the, in my opinion, the, like, most balanced character. in the game. She's got, like, average stats. She's basically like a blank slate who you can use to do any run that you want, pretty much, although she does struggle with strength on Harbinger of Doom specifically. But on True Believer and above, or True Believer and below, I should say, her strength's a little bit more manageable, although you do have to invest heavily in it. Although maybe that's just timeline B bias speaking with the Spiral Hoodie. Yashiro, probably the worst character of the balanced bunch. He was the first character who had a gimmick that you had to interface with in every run. And that's about it, really. His gimmick's a little rough around the edges. Haru is held back so much by nicotine withdrawal. It's such a crippling debuff that you just have to either waste all of your money, and the ghost costume, true. You just have to waste all of your money getting cigarettes for Haru, or you have to ration your cigarettes properly. Somebody earlier suggested you start with Maria. If he started with Maria, he would be incredible. He would be good. Yeah, no, he would be good. Or if he had a way to get rid of nicotine withdrawal, just in his kit, right? Like if he could earn the old coin by killing the White Death monster, or if there was a way to get rid of curses or something like that, it'd be absolutely fantastic. And then Hyanno, unfortunately, gets the short end of the stick, because half of her perks don't work. One of her perks crashes the game. She's a hidden character that you have to go into the game files to unlock, as sort of like an example custom character. I wish Hyanno was a lot better. You could obviously mod her to being God if you wanted to, but as out of the box, and the reason why she's included in this tier list to begin with is that she's in the game. She was created and officially approved by the developer. As, like, I would consider Meaty Visitor to be a part of the game. Meaty Visitor is the example enemy. And I would consider Twilight TV Terror to be a part of the game, too. Because it's shipped with the game. When the game updated, you downloaded that. That's a part of the game. You can take it out if you want to, but it's a part of the game. And so I consider Hyanno to be a part of the game. And I consider her to be a part of the main cast as well, even though you can only have a certain amount of custom characters, and a lot of people probably won't unlock her to begin with, and will probably just use the fun custom characters they downloaded off of the modding repository or whatever. But yeah, Hyanno kind of sucks. I wish she didn't. But it is what it is. Hyanno will probably never be touched again, but hopefully she gets an update, and that'd be really nice. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. This was a longer stream than I'm definitely comfortable doing, because, like, my throat is dying. Like, I do not want to talk anymore, but I have to talk for at least 30 more minutes after that. Don't feel too bad for me, though. I've got water. Got plenty of it right here. Hopefully this was useful. I tried to be a little bit more abstract with characters that we've talked about before, but I did also, like, hopefully provide useful information, but hopefully it was just entertaining as well. I will see you all on the next episode of whatever you decide to watch next. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, and goodbye.